CRP speaking to you live. How's it going, guys? This is what day is today? Sunday, November 14th, 2021. Man, oh man, has the year flown by, hasn't it? And it's been quite the year. And I think next year is going to be even worse. Yay! It's great to be on the eve of destruction. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of people have been asking me about for a long time, which is dating. Some people really enjoy when I talk about politics, and some people really enjoy when I talk about, things that a guy with more experience would know that are not necessarily related to getting women, but just general stuff that when you're older, you learn or you've learned, and that, for younger guys is exceedingly useful to know, right? Offhand, I can't think of anything, but you know the kind of video that I'm talking about, and the kind of advice and discussions that I've had about that kind of thing, right? But a lot of other people in my audience want me to talk about girls, about dating, about how to fuck them, about how to get them, the whole shebang. And I've been dating for 40 years, you know, so I know a thing or two. And there are a few things that I've learned over the years through hard experience, trial and error, and so I'm going to lay out what you should do on the first 5 dates. Okay. Now, a lot of people say this is in the 1990s or the 1980s. It's the 2020s. Yeah. You can give me all that bullshit. But see, dating is always going to be the same because what's going on in a date is that you are figuring out face to face whether you have that visceral reaction to one another that leads to sexual attraction, that leads to the whole being together. And the online world doesn't, it can't compare. You can meet a lot of people online, but that visceral reaction, that sense that you're actually dealing with another human being and interacting with them, and potentially you're going to get physical with them. You can only get that, by actually going out with them. And a lot of people say that nowadays dating doesn't exist, that you just hook up and get together. No, that's not quite true because see, the whole notion of like a structured date, like we're going on a date, okay? Yeah, that might be passé. It might be more casual, but it's the same fucking thing. See, what's going on today is that young people a lot of times say, we're not dating, we're just going to get together. But it's the same fucking notion, okay? Because what you are doing is that you're a man, you're a woman, you're meeting somebody of the opposite sex to see if you are romantically, emotionally, sexually compatible. You want to call it dating, you want to call it hooking up, you want to call it just hanging out. It's the same fucking thing. Okay. And so to keep it more structured is actually good because it keeps it more orderly, especially in the head of a guy. Because girls are better at this shit than guys. Guys, the guys have issues with this. Guys need a matchmaker. Okay. I've come to the conclusion that men really function best when they're in a society that has a lot of women who act as matchmakers, older women who act as matchmakers, or arranged marriages. Because ultimately, guys don't give a shit. They just want to tick off the box that they have a woman so that they can focus on other shit, on their career, on their business, whatever the fuck, right? Because that's the way we are. We don't really care. We don't dither. One girl is as good as the next one. Let's just get this shit settled so we can move on and deal with other shit that's also important, right? But women, no, they dither and this and that, and they're kind of better at it. Okay. And our contemporary society is not particularly good for men insofar as finding an appropriate woman. And so in this webinar, I'm going to be talking about exactly that, how to find an appropriate woman, appropriate to your needs. And this is very important, see, because a lot of times guys don't think about their needs. Let me get cracking and you'll understand what I mean. Okay, so here's the, where am I? Hang on a second, let me just fix this here. You guys don't need to see me. And that way I can just, look at the screen and give my thing. What to do exactly on the first 5 dates. Now, they could be structured dates, they're casual get togethers, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay. But this is what you do. Okay. Now, the very first thing that we gotta understand is that, see, in every meeting of two people or more people, be it business or romantic, you got to know what your objective is before you walk into the meeting. Oh, wait. Before anything, I totally blanked. Um, you guys hearing me and seeing me properly? Hit me with a +1. Yeah. Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, because I always get paranoid about that shit. I'm assuming that everything's copacetic because nobody's complaining. Okay, so let me get back to no, you don't want to see me. You want to see the slide. Okay. Yeah. So in every meeting, business or romantic, you got to know what your objective is before you walk into the meeting. Let me give you an example. One time I was producing movies in Chile, right? And so like I had this meeting with this casting guy. He was gonna like cast some actors and some extras and shit like that. And he shows up at my office, right? Him and a flunky of his, right? And I'm there with me and a flunky of mine. And the guy's like, yeah, I read your script and we can cast it. And I'm like, well, what are your proposals? Oh, we hadn't thought of that. We just wanted to talk about it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you wasting my fucking time for then? I mean, I told him right flat out. I said, look, I scheduled time. I scheduled a 45-minute meeting with you. And so that you could pitch me who you were planning on casting. What was it going to cost? How many extras could you get? This, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. And what the fuck? You want to hang out for 45 fucking minutes? I don't have the fucking time. I just chewed him out. I chewed him out also because I wanted my flunky to get the picture. Okay. Because ordinarily, if it had just been me, I would have just blown him off. I said, look, you're wasting my fucking time. Nice to know you. You won't hear from me again. That's what I would have said. Right. But anyway, the point. See, this guy, this casting guy, he walked into the meeting not knowing what the fuck his counterparty, that is me, wanted. You never walk into a meeting of any sort without knowing what your counterparty wants and what you want out of the meeting. Okay? You got to have an objective. And in order to have your objective in that meeting, you got to know more or less what the other guy wants. Okay? Now, of course, you do not tell your counterparty your objective in the meeting. You don't tell them. Sometimes it's very obvious. Suppose I'm selling tractors and you're a farmer and we get together in some meeting room, like, hi, I have tractors that I want to sell. And he's like, hi, I'm a farmer. I want to buy a tractor. Okay. I mean, there it's obvious what the objective of both parties is, right? But in other negotiations, perhaps more sophisticated negotiations that are happening on multiple levels, see, you got to know what your objective is, but you don't tell them. You don't tell them what your objective is. You don't tell them what your red lines are necessarily. You don't tell them what are priorities for you. But you have to know what those red lines are, what those priorities are. Suppose you and I are talking about a tractor. I have no fucking idea how much a tractor costs. So let's suppose it costs 50,000. And you're a farmer and I'm the John Deere guy or whatever the fuck. And I say, yeah, I got this tractor. I'm willing to sell it for you 65,000. I tell you, I throw you that pitch, then I'll sell it to you for 65. And you're thinking to yourself, well, no, I'm not going to spend a nickel over 50. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to sell this shit for under 45. You see, we both have our red lines. I'm not going to sell the fucking tractor for less than 45,000. You're not going to pay more than 50,000. And we're going to argue back and forth. And eventually we're going to figure out or suss out, perhaps not the exact figure, but more or less the range. And we'll eventually settle on a price. But you walk into the meeting knowing, you, the farmer, that 50 is as far as you can go. You know it when you walk into the room. And I know when I walk into the room that 45 is my breaking point. If it's 45 and $1, I can sell. If it's 45,000 or less, no deal. See, I know before I walk into the room. And the smart thing, and the thing that here in our contemporary Western society that we do not do enough of, is we do not put ourselves in the shoes of our counterparty. The guy who is sitting across from us, he's got objectives. Doesn't matter what those fucking objectives are, but he's got them. Before you go to the meeting, you figure out what those objectives are. Now, it could be that you're dealing with a fucking retard who hasn't really figured out his objectives. And there are such people. And I'm not talking about just dating, I'm talking business, I'm talking in life. There are people who will show up like this casting director, like I told you. You know, he showed up and he didn't know what the fuck he was offering. You know, if I wanted to, I could have probably lowballed him and I'd say, oh, yeah, I'll let you cast the whole thing for like X number of pesos, right? Which would have been like he would have come out losing at the end of that deal because he hadn't thought through his objectives. Okay. So you got to pay attention to your counterparty before the meeting and figure out before the meeting with the clues that you have on hand, what's his objective. Okay. Okay. This goes for business, for romance, for everything, for dealing with your children. Okay. See, I have small children, a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. And, they have their plans. They have their little schemes. They want to get this, that, the other. And they, float some idea by me and see if I'll just like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, or if I'll just knock it down. Yeah, we all do. So pay attention. Pay attention to all the clues. And here's the remarkable thing. Most people, the vast majority of people will tell you what they want. But the problem is that most people don't pay attention. Most people are telling you, I want this, I want this, I want this. And it's like a neon sign, right? But the vast majority of other people don't pay attention and they ignore the signs, or like they have this blindness. They're staring right at it, at the neon sign that the person is projecting. They're staring at it and they say to themselves, what does this person want? Like fucking retards. Okay. This happens all the time. I do not understand it, by the way. Okay. I do not understand it. Perhaps it's been like so long that I've always been figuring out what other people want that, it's second nature to me, but it's a crucial skill. And for dating, getting together, call it what you will, it doesn't really matter. It's the same fucking thing. See, you have to know beforehand what the other person wants, and they will give you clues. You'd be surprised how many clues they will give you. Okay? Okay. So the objective of dating generally is to see if two people are romantically compatible. That's basically it, right? That's the whole point. You want to call it hanging out. You want to call it just getting together. Oh, we're not dating. We're just like hanging out and like it's, blah, blah, blah. It's the same fucking thing. Okay. You guys could be alone or you could be in a room full of your friends. But if you're like, still like eyeing each other, it's the same fucking thing. So don't get hung up on the terminology. Okay. Understand that every time there's an interaction with somebody, okay, a person of the opposite sex, and they deliberately come at you, and you get those romantic vibes, and we all know what we're talking about. We all get the sense of like, oh, this chick is kind of interested in me, you know? Yeah, see? And those of you who have never felt it, you probably have, you just didn't notice it. Hmm? Bottom line, okay? You weren't paying attention. You were paying attention to yourself, but not to the world around you. See? And this is something that really bothers me, I suppose, because you see, our ancestors, the cavemen, the guys out in the fucking savannah chasing the woolly mammoth, right? My favorite metaphor, right? They paid attention to their environment. That's how they survived. See? If you don't pay attention to your environment, your social environment, the people around you, if you're not paying attention to them, you're not going to survive. So pay fucking attention. Okay. So figure out what she's looking for first. This is important. See, you want to figure out if she's looking for a pretty boy who will, pump up her ego, if she's looking for a beta orbiter, if she's looking for a shoulder to cry on while she fucks Chad and Tyrone. I mean, you got to figure this out as quickly as possible. Figure out what she wants. Here's the beautiful thing about women is that, see, what their desires are very malleable in the sense that they're changeable. Okay? They can view you as like a potential beta orbiter, but you play your cards right, and all of a sudden they're looking at you as a potential Chad who will fuck her brains out. It happens all the time, see? But guys with limited imagination don't seem to realize this. Because you see, a fundamental quality about women is their level of compliance. Okay? Women are extremely compliant. And if they fall into the orbit of a stronger personality with more social pull than her, she will change her behavior to conform to this new source of gravity, this new, you know, gravity well in the space time continuum of her social environment, i.e., you. She could have viewed you initially as a potential beta orbiter, and all of a sudden she finds herself orbiting you. Easily. That can easily happen because women are so compliant. They always want to fit in with the social group, whichsoever social group that may be. So if she is hanging out with her social group and they view you just as a possible beta orbiter, you got to pull her out of that social group and bring her into your orbit in your solar system, your social solar system, if you will, where you are a big gravity well, and she'll start to orbit you. Okay. And I'm going to explain how you can do that in the next few slides. So, anyway, but understand what's going on. Online dating is great. It's a great way to meet many people, but nothing replaces IRL dates. Dates, get togethers, call it what you will. See, a lot of people think that you can get away with having a relationship strictly online. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. You need to meet somebody because sex does not happen fucking online. Okay. You can mutually masturbate perhaps, but you can't actually fuck online. Zuckerberg hasn't figured that out yet for his fucking metaverse or whatever the fuck. You see what I'm saying? You got to meet IRL in real life. And the thing is, see, no matter how well you come across online, if there's no chemistry when you meet, it doesn't matter. If she looks at you and she's like, ew, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how witty you were, how much Lord of the Rings bullshit you have in common, all that crap, does not matter. Okay? So you gotta understand IRL, I mean, online is great to meeting a lot of people. And you can, if you organize your shit, like I said in the last webinar, you organize your shit, you can meet literally hundreds of women in your city or town, even if it's just a medium to small size town, hundreds of women easily if you organize yourself, if you're diligent, if you exploit so many of the dating sites and the dating apps because they are all designed for you to meet many people. So use that to meet many people. But at the end of the day, it only matters when you meet IRL. And the more people you meet IRL, the better for you. Okay. Because it calms you down. If you meet very, very few people IRL, it's all online. When you meet somebody in real life, you're going to spurg out. It's natural, normal, because the lack of social interaction in real life, social interaction is a horrible thing to most men and most women too. Okay. And so what happens is, especially in these times that we're living in, the lack of social interaction. If you meet one person, you are going to spurg out. You're going to act like a fucking retard. You're going to be like face palming yourself later, saying, "What the fuck did I say? I sound like a fucking retard." Yeah, it's because of the lack of social interaction. So you have to cycle up. You got to meet as many people as possible, as many women as possible, and understand that a lot of them they're going to be burned opportunities. You're going to meet some girl. She'll be lovely, but you're going to spurg out because you haven't met that many people as of late. You haven't been socializing. You've forgotten how, or maybe you didn't even know how, and you're experimenting and trying to get into the flow of things, and you're going to blow up an opportunity. That's life, brother. That's life. And the only thing, the only comfort I can give you in that regard is understand that, yeah, you blew up some potential prospect that could have been something. You blew it out because you spurred out, you acted like a retard, you talked about fucking Call of Duty or some other fucking idiot video game for hours on end, and she was just bored to tears, and she's like, well, great date, never want to see you again, buddy. Yeah, that happens all the time. It's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. Okay. And when that happens, the only comfort I can give you is that you blew it up. But on the one hand, every guy has done the same. And on the other hand, there is always somebody better just around the corner, always. I've told you guys many, many times that back in around 2010, 2009, 2010, I was like, what, 42, something like that. I was dating this girl, 19 years old, hot as fucking blazes. I remember we're at my apartment. We just fucked like a fucking marathon ran. I mean, just totally just, you know, I'm 42, she's 19. And we're watching TV. Like it wasn't Ren and Stimpy. It was this really perverted fucking cartoon on MTV that was just like psychotic. It was very funny, but I forget what it was. But it doesn't matter. The point is, we were laughing, and I remember thinking clearly, man, this is as good as it gets. I'm never gonna find another hotter woman, another hotter, younger, tighter girl than this girl, And I thought this is the peak for me, right? 2 years later, I married somebody younger, hotter, tighter. She was a fucking virgin, and I married her. So yeah, I mean, there's always somebody better. So any blown opportunity, don't worry about it. Okay? Okay. Now, the first thing you have to understand, going back to the issue of knowing what your counterparty wants, you got to understand what women want. And what they want is so fucking simple. It's so simple. And I don't understand why guys don't get it. What women want is strong, memorable emotions. They do not want deep thoughts. They want to feel strong, memorable emotions. Okay? Why do girls get their hearts broken by some asshole and then keep coming back for seconds? Hmm? Have you ever asked yourself that simple question? I think about it. You guys have seen these girls. They're like some beautiful hot girl. Back in college, there was a girl called Natasha. She was so fucking hot. And she was sweet. She was a sweet, nice girl. I only interacted with her a couple of times, but she was just so nice to me. And she didn't need to be. She was just such a polite, pleasant, smiling, cheerful girl. She had this asshole boyfriend. They stretched it out for 20 fucking years. They finally got married when they were like in their 40s. Pathetic. No kids. New York life, you know what I'm talking about, professionals living in some, Upper East Side little shithole that cost like $10 million or whatever the fuck, working to the bone all day, right? But anyway, this fucking girl, she had this boyfriend, treated her like shit, cheated on her, the whole thing. She kept coming back for seconds. They'd break up, a month or two later, she's back because she got addicted to the strong emotions. You see, that happens all the time. Now, when I was 19, in my teenage years, I was lousy at dating until not 19, actually 18. I remember it very, very clearly. It was March of 86. In March of 86, I went to university in Chile. And, the first year students had like all kinds of fun activities, bonding experiences, and all that bullshit, right? And I was talking to the two prettiest girls in my university class. I remember Nicole Cuyumyan and Pilar Santibáñez. And Nicole was like brown hair, blue eyes. Pilar was like blonde, red hair, green eyes. They were both hot. And you know how hot girls are friends with each other? They were friends. They actually gone to high school together in a very good private school out in Viña del Mar. It doesn't matter. The point is, see, they were very hot. And somehow it's the three of us talking, right? Uh, um, and I'm making them laugh. And I'm just like telling jokes and I'm not being like a clown. I'm being witty. This is different. A clown is just a retard, okay, who makes everybody laugh. Being witty, being quick on your feet, saying things, sometimes teasing them and putting them a little bit on the defensive, but in a way that's playful. That's not mean spirited. You're not being an asshole. You're just, teasing them a little bit, saying stuff like, oh, yeah, ugly girls like you don't know what I'm talking about, right? And they were obviously very, very pretty. Okay. And so that kind of teasing, yeah. Um, Obviously saying something that's clearly sarcastic, not something so clever that you're not sure if it's for real or sarcastic, because sometimes what happens is that somebody might take a sarcastic comment at face value and be insulted by it. No, it has to be something so obviously sarcastic that they smile and laugh. And you see what I'm saying? Well, anyway, laughter. That's when I discovered it. And that I remember very clearly thinking to myself as I'm talking to them, this is how I get them attracted to me. And they were very attracted to me, both of them. Okay. I dated both of them. Oh, yeah. It was fucking great, you know? And it was kind of weird because, like, you know, I'm like dating both of them. They kind of knew and they were like not too pleased. But then I started dating other girls because I discovered that being witty, something that I'd always done with my friends, with my nerdy friends, worked like a charm. See? And so what I realized was that when I made girls laugh, they responded very positively to me. And that's as far as it went. But now I understand what it is. Laughter is one of the most powerful emotions. Okay. And somebody who's witty is doing multiple things at the same time. I mean, if you're Benny Hill, like a clown, you're just making people laugh. But if you're witty and fast on your feet and say things that are insightful and at the same time funny, what you're demonstrating is that you're smart, you have value, but you're demonstrating in a way that is not like, oh, I have 155 IQ points. That's just retarded. That's just pathetic. Imagine I go up to you and say, "Hi, how's it going? My name is Gonzalo Lira. I've got 155 IQ points." You'd be like, "This guy's a fucking idiot. I don't give a fuck." And you might feel pissed off because maybe you only have 130 or whatever the fuck. And you're like, what a fucking dickhead, right? But if I come up to you and say some witticism, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but just imagine, right? You respond much more positively because you laugh, and at the same time, you're thinking, this guy's smart. You see what I mean? See how powerful that is for women? Because, see, women, they want a guy who's successful. They don't want a fucking idiot. So if you make them laugh, you're giving them a powerful emotion. And at the same time, if you're making them laugh with a witticism, a quick bit of sarcasm that's teasing and doesn't hurt their feelings. That's the important thing. You can't hurt their feelings. Okay, you can't hit them on something that they're insecure about. I mean, suppose some girl, just for the sake of argument, she's very pretty, but she has kind of like a double chin. I'm just making something up. And you make fun of the double chin. She's gonna like, dude, what the fuck, right? But if she's a very pretty girl and you say, "Oh, an ugly girl like you would never know what I'm talking about," you know, she's gonna laugh because tons of people have told her that she's pretty all her life. So she's gonna know that you're being sarcastic. See? And that goes well. So I mean, you see my point. It's a fine thing. But anyway, laughter is the quickest, easiest, strongest way to do a strong, memorable emotion on a girl. It's easy, okay? Because the other ways of inflicting a strong, memorable emotion on a girl demands you knowing her for more time. Going back to the example of this Natasha girl, right? This Natasha girl, she'd been dating this guy for years, and so when he would rather consistently break her heart, this strong, memorable, powerful emotion, you know, well, it required a lot of time on his part. He had to know her. He needed to know which buttons to push to make her feel miserable and just like broken up and the whole shebang. You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make here is that, see, laughter is the quickest and easiest way for these strong, memorable emotions. Okay. Now, talking incessantly about yourself and your hobbies or your work or whatever the fuck will bore her silly. Don't do it. Okay. I mean, I've heard guys say that, oh, yeah, I go on a date and I talk to the girl about my hobbies. The girl might be like nodding about your hobbies, but she's secretly bored to tears by it. She doesn't want to hear about their fucking hobby. She doesn't give a shit about it. You collect stamps or shoot guns or whatever the fuck is your hobby. She does not care. Okay. The only reason a girl might potentially listen to your bullshit about some hobby of yours is if she's really, really into you. And the worst part is that, see, her listening to you talking about your hobbies sort of like eats away at that emotional capital that you have on account with her. Okay. I mean, if a girl's into you, you got to imagine it that like it's like a like capital, emotional capital that is on deposit with her. Like she's a bank and she has like $100,000 worth of your money. Okay. So if you start boring her with your hobby, that emotional capital, that interest that she has in you starts to diminish slowly but surely because she's going to be bored. And she's gonna be thinking, I like him, but he's talking about this shit that's so fucking boring. I mean, think about it. You've hung out with some guy. You like him a lot. I'm not homosexual. You just some guy that you like that you think is great. He's a great dude. And you like talking to him about or whatever the fuck, right? And he starts talking to you about some subject that you don't give a shit about. Maybe it's politics. Maybe it's fucking comic books. Whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. He starts talking to you about this shit. And you're like, man, he's a great guy, but this shit is so fucking boring. Why are we talking about this shit? Why don't we talk about something else? Let's talk about girls or let's talk about drugs. But this shit, whatever the fuck it is, it's boring me silly. Now, a lot of times what'll happen is that a guy, you will tell your buddy, hey, why don't we talk about something else? This is fucking boring. Okay. But with girls, it's different. They're not going to tell you. And they're going to let you talk on and on and on about something boring. And if she's really into you, by the end of this bullshit of you talking about her hobbies, she's going to be less into you. And if she's sort of like on the fence about you and you bore her, she's going to be like, yeah, I had a great day. Yeah, let's get together sometime. Yeah, sure. I'll call you. See ya. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So don't fucking talk about yourself, your hobbies, your work. No, she's not going to want to date you and she's not going to want to fuck you if you do that. No, 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 no. What you want to do is be the man who is elusive but charming. Okay. Now, this is a very subtle art. And I have a guy who embodied it to a T. This guy, let's call him Carlos. Okay. This guy, he was he was okay looking, not great. He was about like my height, about a 1 meter 80, 6 feet. Um, he was relatively trim, well groomed. I mean, you saw him and you'd be like, nothing special, right? He was unbelievably charming and he was a chick magnet. He would get fucking all kinds of pussy. See, no man can get every chick. Okay. There's no such man. Okay. Remember that. But there are men who can get more pussy than you and me. Okay. You got to keep in mind, a Casanova cannot nail every single chick because there's always going to be a portion of women, say 15% of women or whatever the fuck, that no matter how charming the Casanova, she's not going to go for him. Okay. She might go for some other guy, right? But she's not going to go for this particular Casanova. You see, that's just in the cards. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, but Carlos, you know, he had pussy. I mean, he'd have girls dropping by on the flimsiest of fucking pretexts, right? Um, this fucker, this was really weird. He always had food made by other girls. I mean, it was just incredible. And the thing is, I noticed him interacting with women, and you know how he would interact? He would tell them like funny things and like focus on them, right? And tell them funny things and make them laugh, and then almost immediately turn away and pay attention to something else. I mean, it's not that the guy had the attention span of a fruit fly. On the contrary, I saw him in a work situation, and the guy had incredible focus. Well, I actually met him through work, but that's another story. The guy had incredible focus. He could focus on something for hours, okay, and rock steady, rock solid focus. I mean, like that kind of guy, right? But with girls, he'd throw some quip, some joke, some this or that, some interaction. He'd make them giggle. He'd make them laugh and then ignore them, just pull away and turn away to somebody else. And it was almost, I saw it, I literally saw this happen. I'd forgotten this actually. I forget the circumstances. There were some models, right? It was nighttime, at a restaurant, and there were like three or four models in like a horseshoe shaped table kind of thing. And he comes over, he says some witticism, and there was this one gorgeous fucking girl. She was so fucking gorgeous. She was like this blonde, straight hair, little black dress. She was all kinds of hot. Carlos comes, throws some quips, makes these girls laugh, and this girl sort of like reaches towards him to touch him and to say something, but he's already turning away and he's actually walking away, and she's practically halfway out of her seat before she realizes how embarrassing it is, and she sat back like and just went red at the embarrassment of like literally getting out of her seat to chase after him, to reach for him, to get his attention, to get his attention. That's a key issue. Carlos never allowed a girl to capture his attention. He would focus his attention on her and say something and then turn away and not ignore her, but just his attention went elsewhere. He was no longer focused on her, he was focused on somebody else. And that high that he would give to girls, that high of his complete and focused attention, telling them something, making them smile, making them like, ah, Carlos is here, you know, it would get them high and then he'd turn away. It was something, it was an itch that they couldn't stop scratching. Yeah, he got all kinds of pussy. Okay. And the thing is, see, I did a video about this on my free channel. He basically treated all girls like they were male nerdy friends. You know, you got a nerdy friend, a guy. Okay. Of course, you're straight. You have no interest in fucking the guy, right? So, you talk to him, right? And how do you talk to him? You joke with him, you say shit about it to him, right? And you tell him some funny story, right? And you just tell the funny story and you focus on him because you're telling him the funny story and he's the only one there, and he's your buddy. You like him, you respect him, he's a decent guy, but you don't want to fuck him because you're straight, right? And so you focus your attention on your nerdy friend, you tell him the story, you make him laugh, and then you turn away and go off and do some other shit, right? And of course, if it's an actual nerdy friend, a guy friend, he'll laugh and say, "Oh man, that guy's so fucking funny," right? But if it's a girl, oh, it's very different. The fact that you're turning away drives them nuts. Okay. You're giving them this powerful surge of a strong, memorable emotion that is laughter and attention, and then turning it off and walking away. Yeah. Okay. Understand. Another way to think of it is treat a girl the same way you would treat a waiter, with friendly indifference. Okay. Friendly indifference. Mhm. Friendly but aloof. Mhm. This is hard. It demands a mental, trick. Okay. But you got to do this. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit more in just a moment. How to do it specifically when you're on a date with a chick. It's actually very simple. Now, don't talk about yourself except indirectly. Okay. Never say, I lived in Manhattan when I was 32. It's always, when I was living in Manhattan a few years ago, blah, blah, blah. It's always a subordinate clause in your sentence. The cool thing about you, whatsoever it is. See? Like, you guys know that I've worked in Hollywood, I've worked on movies, I publish novels and shit like that. Whenever I talk about that kind of stuff, I always act as if the person I'm talking to already knows it. Okay? The stranger, the girl who's never had any idea that I worked in Hollywood and shit, I act like, yeah, like she should know it. And I remember saying, oh, yeah, I remember one time, I was working at the Warner Brothers lot and they assigned me a male assistant and it was just a fucking nightmare. The guy was a fucking asshole. And I've talked to other guys and, it never works out when they have a male assistant. That's why I only want a female assistant. This is an actual conversation I had 2 days ago with somebody because I actually do need an assistant here in Kharkov. And, and this person said to me, well, you worked at Warner Brothers? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. I was writing scripts or writing action sequences on scripts for them, back in the day. Oh, wow. That was that. But you see how I did it. This was an actual conversation that I had. Okay. And what I said, the subordinate clause, when I was working in Los Angeles at Warner Brothers back in the day, writing scripts there, they assigned me a male assistant. And the male assistant sucked and blah, blah, blah about the male assistant, which is all true, by the way. But the subordinate clause is the real hook. See? The subordinate clause made the person I was talking to, and actually it was a female lawyer. I'm not kidding. Well, she's married and she's got a couple of adorable, adorable children, right? I have no interest in her whatsoever. But the thing that struck me was that her interest peaked instantly when I mentioned that because it's fascinating. Objectively, it's fascinating. It doesn't matter, what it did for my career or did not do for my career. Blah blah. I mean, fuck that. The point is that it was really interesting, and I put it as a throwaway, discussing something completely different. That works. But saying to somebody, "Oh, I used to work at Warner Brothers making movies," where does the conversation go from there? You see the subtle art? See? The interesting things about you, you leave breadcrumbs. You don't show the whole pie. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Now, um, here's the key issue that I should have moved it higher up. I thought it was elsewhere, but it doesn't matter. Um, when you're interacting with a girl to get this elusive but charming vibe, right? Always be thinking of something witty. Always be thinking of teasing girls, making them laugh. Okay, even if it's absurd, but always witty, always showing intelligence. Okay, you're a smart guy. You're an intelligent guy. I'm sure the demographic I mean, my demographic, they're smart guys. Okay, they're smart guys. Many of them are very successful. They're just shitty at girls and shit. Right. See, a lot of times you're overthinking it. A lot of times you're a little bit desperate. So a really simple trick when you're interacting with a woman and you want to make sure that you maintain that elusive but charming vibe is no matter who the woman is, imagine a more beautiful, attractive woman that you'd prefer to be with. She might not even be real. It could be like some anime character or an IG model. I mean, an Instagram model by definition is, you're never going to fucking meet her, right? She has no interest in you. She just wants the views, right? And she's gorgeous, right? Think of her. Think of her. Imagine that you interact with her. Fantasize about her. Think about her while you are interacting in real life with a woman that you're potentially interested in. Your attention will be diffused. And here is a weird thing, and this is actually true. Okay. Um, do this, and also consciously be comparing your date, the IRL woman you have right in front of you, with the woman in your head, but never say so and never express it in your face. Think it. Think it hard. You see some girl. Now you're dating some girl. You're on a date with a girl, with Mary, and in your head you have like the image of some Instagram thought whatsoever. It doesn't matter which one, and you constantly have her in your head. You're thinking about her. You're focused on your conversation with Mary right there in the restaurant or wherever the fuck you guys are. But in your head, there is a part of your attention that is focused on this woman, this Instagram model, or this imaginary anime character that you find sexually attractive, which actually, now that I think about it, is kind of perverse, but you know what I'm saying. You're thinking of somebody else that you find more attractive. And like you look at Mary across from you and you look at her dress and you don't say anything and you make sure that your face is just smiling and impassive, but you're thinking to yourself, oh, her dress is not so hot or cute as the dress that the Instagram model had this morning in my feed. You think it, but you never say it. Never say it. No, defeats the purpose, because I'll explain in a second. You never say it, and you make sure to keep your face blank, but you think it, and you think it hard. And by the same token, you think hard of the other woman that you'd prefer to be with rather than the girl you are actually sitting with right now. And here's the weird fucking thing. I've done this, by the way. Okay. And it fucking works. I don't know why, but it fucking does. Somehow, women in real life, the ones that you're sitting across from, they sense that you're preoccupied with another woman. And this, I do not understand this, but I've gotten reports from women that I developed longer term relationships with and who told me that they get a sense that I'm comparing them to some other girl that's not there, and that the girl who is there is sort of like failing, and they get insecure. And when they get insecure like that, you want to get my attention. It's true. It's just really weird, but it's out. My suspicion is that women are simply far more sensitive to what other people are thinking, especially thinking about them. So sensitive, they can pick up uh, um, signs from you that are not obvious. I mean, if you actually make a face and like act like you're thinking this, it doesn't work. I know because I've tried it. And what happens is that the girl is like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" And they just blow me off. It's happened to me, sure. I mean, once I discovered this trick and started applying it, sometimes I over applied it of like actually showing on my face what I thought of her clothes or her hair or whatever the fuck, and the girl was turned off by it. But if I sort of like think it, but try my damnedest to hide it, they sense it. And I know this sounds, I don't know how it sounds. It sounds insane. It sounds implausible. It sounds like I'm claiming that women have ESP or some shit like that. I don't know. I have no fucking idea. All I know is my empirical evidence, my actual on the ground uh, um, experience, my empirical experience. Every time I'm thinking about some other girl that I find more attractive and that I wish I were with, the girl I'm actually with, the IRL person who's right in front of me, she senses it and she finds it intimidating, challenging, makes her insecure. And bottom line, she chases me. She wants me more. She makes every effort to get with me. I don't get it. I discovered this by accident because I was actually thinking of another girl, you know? And I met up with some girl. Oh, yeah, that was Anita. Oh, yeah. I was thinking of some other girl that I was really crazy about, a girl called Macarena that I never got with because I was too chicken shit. But I was thinking about her constantly. And I met up with Anita, who was this, she had this curly blonde reddish hair. She was beautiful. She had these huge blue eyes. She tended to use a little bit too much mascara. Mm. And she was gorgeous. She was a high school girl, and I was actually teaching her math. Okay, and just totally like platonic, right? I wasn't thinking like I want to date her, right? But I was thinking about Macarena, this girl that I've mentioned her before. She's the girl that got away, the one that I wish I had more gumption and asked her out, if only to get over it. But she's the reason that I never turn up my nose at the opportunity to meet a girl. Okay, I never chicken out because I know the feeling of regret. Okay. So anyway, I was talking to Anita, but I was thinking of Macarena, and Anita had a boyfriend. But the weird thing was that she kind of like got that insecurity, and she was like trying to get my attention and trying to get with me. I realized this after the fact because at the time I had no intention or interest in getting with Anita. And Anita was gorgeous, but I was thinking, oh, she's got a boyfriend, a serious boyfriend, and I like her, but I'm really crazy about Macarena, and thinking about Macarena and not talking about Macarena, but subtly comparing Anita, who was right here in front of me, to Macarena, who was just in my head, really. And after that, I noticed it and I started applying it and it worked like a fucking charm. I've been applying this fucking system for Jesus Christ since I was 18, 17, 18. So you do the math, 35 years or something like that. Yeah, it works. So long as you don't overplay it. So long as you don't like make faces like, ew, I don't like your dress or some shit like that. You got to think these thoughts in your head and somehow these chicks pick it up. They pick it up and it drives them up the wall. Okay. The other thing, before a date, always jerk off. Always, no exception. Okay. Because it'll calm you down. See? And by the way, the younger you are, the more you got to jerk off before. Okay. And unless you think that you're going to have sex with her, then jerk off like 3, 4 hours before the date, at least, or if not earlier. That way you don't come too quick, but you still come. If you jerk off right before the date and then you wind up sleeping with her after a couple of hours of the date, you're going to be out of gas, and it might be fun for her, but after a while it'll get tedious and it'll be your sexual failure. And girls don't like it when a guy fails sexually. Okay. So keep that in mind. The whole issue of jerking off before a date, experiment. Each guy is different. Okay. Each guy needs to calibrate a little bit differently. Okay. At this stage, I'm completely, I could be dating like the hottest model on the planet. And at this stage, I don't really care. Okay. So it's a non issue for me. But I remember when I was younger. Okay. experiment. It changes over the years. It changes because of experience. It changes also because of your body. As you get older, you find it harder to, you need more time to recover. Okay. And also, what happens is that as you get older, more confident, more relaxed, you don't have the issue of like premature ejaculation when you're fucking some girl, because that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid premature ejaculation. See, that's why you should jerk off, before the date, but calibrate on your own. Okay. Now, the other thing that women want, okay, like I said, they want strong, memorable emotions. They want a man who is elusive but charming. And the third thing that they want is they want a man who does not ask, he simply takes. This is the hardest one for most men in contemporary society to understand. And a lot of them don't believe it, but it's the truth. See? Your go to phrase is, I want. I want this. I want that. You never ask. You never question. Like, for instance, you're at the restaurant, you got the menu in front of you or whatever the fuck, waiter comes and you say, I want the fish. And you don't say, maybe the salmon, maybe this, maybe that. No, no, no. I want this. And you don't ask, could you please give me the salmon? No, I want. Always. In text messages, in person, when you are saying anything, either to the woman or to a third party that happens to pass you by, like a waiter or whomever, it's always I want. No exception. Always. Everything is I want. It's like subliminal, but she'll pick up on it. She'll just know that you're that kind of a guy who takes, who takes without asking. And that's what a woman wants. She might claim that she wants a man who listens to her feelings and discusses shit and all that. It's all lies. It's all lies. Remember, human beings are masters at fooling ourselves. We lie to ourselves all the fucking time. And we tell ourselves we want certain desires when those desires are not accurate. The meme, that's going around, there was some Facebook post or a Reddit post or something. Yeah, a Reddit post of some communist left-wing Antifa chick. And she's saying that, she hates right wingers. She's left wing. She's down with the revolution. She's part of Antifa. She's marched. She's protested. She's rioted, the whole thing. But she sees these big, burly right wingers and she just wants to fuck them. Yeah. Of course, because the left wing pussies are like, oh, is it okay if I do this? Oh, there's my pee pee. Do you want to touch it? Consent. I'm sorry. Oh, does my little cock, my teeny little peeny micro penis offend you? I'm sorry. No chick wants that. She wants a guy who just takes. Because fundamentally, women are. The simplistic view is that women are givers and men are takers, but it's much more sophisticated than that. What's going on is that, see, a woman, and again, evolution, see, it's compliance testing. Okay, what is a compliance test? It comes from manufacturing. A compliance test is when a product is taken off the assembly line and tested to make sure that it meets all the standards. Now, they take one arbitrarily, they're manufacturing cars or widgets or whatever the fuck, and they take the widget off the assembly line, a random one, and they test it for tensile strength, for this, that, melting temperature and all the rest of it, just to make sure that it's up to snuff. That's a compliance test. Now, of course, on a assembly line, they'll just take one of the units and trash it. Like, for instance, they take a car off the Toyota assembly line and they run it through all these crash tests, right, with the dummies and all that shit, right? And all kinds of crashes, and they total the car, but of course it doesn't fucking matter. That's, millions of the fucking cars. They're just taking one just to do the compliance test, right? But when it comes to a unique individual, like for instance, say a diamond, say, they found some big diamond as big as your fist. I don't know how many carats, but a lot, right? And they take it and what do? They take it and they put it underneath a microscope to test it, right? And sometimes those tests of diamonds, it's very interesting. They'll put it on a little like a crusher just to see how much is the tensile strength, because it ought to resist. I don't know how much, but like say 3,000 pounds per square inch. I'm just making it up. I have no fucking idea. And they put it in a crusher just to see, because they're thinking, if it's a diamond, it'll be fine. If it's not, it'll get crushed. See, same thing with women. They're testing men to see if they're strong. Strong because that way a strong man will protect her offspring, i.e., the man's offspring, provide resources for them all. She wants a strong man. She might pretend rather, that she wants a man who listens to her and all that bullshit, but she really doesn't. She wants a strong man. That's why the leftist Antifa purple-haired bitch goes wet between the legs when she sees some big burly right-wing guy carrying an AR-15, because she knows that that fucker can look after her, can get her whatever resources she needs to survive and for her child to survive. It's built in, it's evolution. And so it's a compliance test. You saying always, I want, and not in an asshole-ish way, because a lot of insecure guys say this in an asshole-ish way. I want this, I want that. They make a to-do about it, and that just shows weakness. And that fails the compliance test of women. It's a subtle art, and you learn it by experience. But the important thing is to understand the direction, okay? You say, I want. And calmly, relaxed. Like I'm telling you, like for instance, you're the waiter and you show up to my table and you say, sir, good evening. What would you like to eat? I say to you in this tone of voice, good evening. John, is it? Hi, nice to meet you, John. Yes, I'd like the salmon. I want the baked potato and I want the Caesar salad. Like that. It's no big deal. Not like a big to do. Okay. And you're talking to the girl after the waiter leaves, and she asks you, well, what are you going to do after your job or whatever? Because you're working at this job and you want to leave. And you say, well, I have a good job, it makes me decent money, but I want to have my own business. So what I plan to do is I'm going to hire a few workers, and I want to hire this guy, and I think he will join me. And I want to hire this other person who will definitely join me. And from there, what I am going to do is I'm going to set up this office in downtown Seattle and do whatever the fuck. You see the tone. You're stating what you're going to do in a way that's very clear, and it's not a question. Because questions are fundamentally insecure. No woman wants an insecure guy. They want a guy who doesn't ask, he takes. Okay? Now, there will come a moment that you get to tell her what to do. You don't ask. Typically in sex. Okay. And I'm going to get to that in a second. I have a whole section on what to do while you're fucking. Okay. Put her deliberately in situations where she has to ask you what to do. And I'm going to describe that. That's actually like on the third date. You are going to take her to a place where you are the master, and she has to ask you what to do. Because the whole thing that women want is to be told what to do. Because two factors are going into this. Number one, women want a strong guy who leads, and therefore a guy who leads is a guy who tells them what to do. Number one. And number two, most people, both men and women, most people don't know what to do. And they would much prefer it if somebody else told them what to do. And if you're the guy who steps into that role and just tells her, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, do not pick that up, but pick that other thing up, yeah, and bring it over here, they'll love it. They need it. They need it like oxygen. See? Because on the one hand, most people are like that. And you've seen this with all the vaccine compliance and all this bullshit. What's that tell you? It tells you that most fucking people are fucking NPCs that need somebody to boss them around. That's what it tells you, right? Okay. So there you have proof positive of that assumption that most people need to be led, number one. And number two, insofar as women are concerned, try it. Try it with any woman. Try it with your mother. You'd be surprised. It's very easy, and she will comply. She likes it. They all like it. All women love it. They love it when they are following orders and complying, because it gives them a weird satisfaction. When somebody bosses me around, I hate it. I fucking hate it. It just really drives me up the fucking wall, right? And sometimes, I get bossed around. Like, for instance, I've been dealing with some legal shit, nothing serious, just paperwork and crap, the typical shit that piles up, right? And my lawyer's like, "Oh, we got to do this shit. We got to do this shit." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know, but don't fucking annoy me." I mean, I don't tell my lawyer that. I mean, it's his fucking job to remind me of shit, right? But I don't really feel like doing it. I'm like, fuck this shit. You know, I hate it. But most people love it because it gives them a feeling of satisfaction, especially women. Compliant people, and that's what women are, they derive internal satisfaction with meeting the expectations of other people. Meeting the expectations of other people often makes them appreciate and desire the person more. That's the case with women. Understand this. Okay? Okay. Yeah, I never ask for permission. Never ask a woman for permission. Mhm. If you got to pee, you tell her, wait here. Yeah, you're at the restaurant. She's sitting there, you're sitting here, and you got to go pee. Just stand up and say, just wait here. And you might say, wait here, or just order my drink while I'm away. And just go. And if she says, where are you going? You say, I'm going to go pee. You know, and it'll discombobulate her, but she'll be like, oh, okay, he's in control. See? But if you say, like, oh, do you mind terribly? I have to go pee. I have to go to the little boy's room. You sound like a little fucking faggot. Girls don't like that. No woman likes that. She might pretend that she does, but in her heart, she doesn't. She won't get wet. A guy who just stands up and says, wait here, and she, is too slow or dumb or whatever, she asks, where are you going? And you just turn around and say, I gotta go pee. And you just look at her like frowning and then keep on going. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's not merely that you tell her, I gotta go pee. No, you only tell her that you gotta go pee after she asks you, where are you going? And that's all a good sign because it shows a little bit of insecurity on her part. And you turning around and sort of like not boldly frowning and angry, but sort of like, dude, come on. And you just tell her, I got to go pee, and just keep on going, by the way, and just like a tossed off comment over your shoulder, she is going to feel insecure. And incredibly, for most guys, that's what women want to feel when they're around a guy. They claim that they hate it. And they do, actually, because nobody likes to feel insecure. But that's what they crave. And that's the truth. The more insecure a man makes them feel, the more they desire him. It is as simple as that. It has been true since the dawn of the species for a whole host of very clear evolutionary reasons. Because a man who is elusive is signaling that he doesn't need her. She's just one more. And that makes her think to herself, how can I get this guy? Because he's so clearly above my pay grade, higher up on the echelon than me. How do I get him? I want him. I want him desperately. Huh? It's it's evolution. Women and men are slaves to evolution. Okay? Because we're animals. Never forget that. Our saving grace as men, and this unfortunately is not available to women, any woman, or children, or even most other men. We are a minority of men who can control our emotions. Always remember that. Mm? Women are slaves to it. And the emotion that they most respond to and indeed crave is insecurity. Because when they are insecure, they latch on to the man and they hold on tight. And this makes sense because a woman who feels insecure, it triggers in her the ancestral memory of being food insecure, of being shelter insecure, and having children and knowing that the only way to survival is to have a strong man who can protect her. Because that's the evolutionary reality. Because the vast majority of men are stronger than the vast majority of women. There are exceptions on the far ends of the distribution, but for the most part, most men are noticeably, radically stronger than women, and therefore can protect them. And women crave that, and they use social custom and social interaction to hold down and lock down the man. And if the man is signaling that, you know, she's not locking him down, she feels insecure and she wants more because she's afraid for her own survival and the survival of her children, even if she doesn't have any children, because it's hardwired into her. Okay. Understand. Okay. Okay. So you never ask for permission. You just tell her. You just tell her, wait here or do this, do that. You don't tell her the why. Okay. Because when you tell the why, you are subtly asking for permission. Think about it. Again, going back to the peeing example. See, I say to a girl, wait here, I got to go pee. Well, that's implicitly saying, this is the explanation. This is I'm basically subtly asking for permission. But if I just tell her, wait here and order my drink while I'm away, she has no idea where I'm going. I'm not telling her. She has to ask. And when she asks, what does that reveal? Insecurity. And when I turn around as I'm walking away and like sort of like half frown and say, I gotta go pee, like, what the fuck you think? It just makes her nervous, insecure. And it's an unfortunate reality, but that's the way you get women. And this has been true since the dawn of the species. Okay. So that's what's understanding what women want. Those three things, it's simple: strong, memorable emotions, a man who is elusive but charming, and a man who does not ask, he simply takes. Okay? Those are the three things and the derivatives thereof. Okay? Now, you got to understand what you want. Remember when I said at the start of this about what you call it at every meeting, business or romantic, you got to know the objective before you walk into the meeting room? Okay, same thing. Many men go on a date or a get together, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, failing to know what they want, what they are looking for. See? Do you want a quick lay or a wife with the girl that you're dating? Ask yourself this. Have a clear idea of it. A lot of guys just go in and like, oh, we're just gonna see. This is stupid. It's just fucking stupid. Let me ask you something. I mean, this is a serious question, motherfucker. Do you wake up in the morning, hop in your car, and start driving and say to yourself, oh, I don't know where I'm going. I'll just drive around and see where the highways take me? Do you actually do that? Because if you do, you're a fucking moron. Huh? Of course you don't fucking do that. Then why the fuck are you doing it when you go out with some woman? You got to know the destination with a woman. And fuck it. A guy is a past master at that, at like the objective. Okay? Because we're hardwired by evolution to pursue specific objectives, hunting the woolly mammoth, getting to the new valley where we can survive. There'll be more berries and we'll have an easier time building shelter and shit like that. We're hardwired by evolution, men, to be pursuing specific objectives with that objective in mind, having defined it previously, and not just wandering around aimlessly. No, we call them, that they were hunter gatherers and they wander around. Yeah, but that's in general accurate, but specifically, no. The guy leading the tribe would say, we're going to go to this valley because probably in this valley there's more food and there's a chance to build better shelter. And there'll probably be more woolly mammoths there and we can eat those fuckers too. He had a specific goal in mind. You on a fucking date and you're like, oh, we'll just go and see what happens. You're an idiot. Okay. You got to know what you're looking for before you go into the room. Okay. It bothers me because a lot of guys, they fuck it up so fucking badly. Uh, yeah, you gotta know before, and you gotta know a few other things, the corollaries to that. Okay, you gotta figure out, if it's the extremes. You want a one night stand or you want a wife. Figure out more or less. And if you don't know with this particular girl, you say to yourself, okay, I don't know. So on this date, I'm going to discover what kind of girl she is, and then make up my mind where she is on that spectrum between a whore and a possible wife. Okay, I mean that's perfectly legitimate. See. Yeah, of course, because the whole point of a date is to discover who the person is. It could be that you thought to yourself, this girl is going to be the future mother of my children and whatnot, and you get there And she tells you that underneath her clothes she's got like 90% tattooed on her body with demented satanic ritual shit, right? And she believes in drinking blood, and she wants to suck your dick right then and there in the restaurant and then go and fuck your brains out, and she hopes that you'll stick it up her ass because she's into that. Well, and it's a whole different ball game, right, motherfucker? Yeah. Or it could be reversed. You could think to yourself, oh, she's kind of slutty looking, right? But you talk to her and she's like, no, I'm a virgin, but I thought that this was cool, but I guess it's not. And all of a sudden you discover it's a completely different girl. You see my point. The date is to discover who you're dealing with. And if you're not sure about who you're dealing with, well, that's the date for. But you have to have an idea. And if you don't have an idea with any kind of precision, you just say TBD. T, B as in boy, D as in dog. To be determined. Okay? And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But you have to have that objective. You have to define it. Okay? You see my point. It's very important. Okay? Okay. Yeah. Like I say here, many men go on a date failing to know what they want and what they are looking for. Okay. Yeah. It could be, look, you're in a very delicate situation in your business or whatever, your career or whatever, you have to focus on it. And you just want to meet some girl, maybe hopefully get a quick lay, and you still haven't broken down and just hired a hooker. Mm? And it could be that. And you got to define that. Or it could be to yourself, I got my shit together, my money together. I want to have kids. I want to have a family. I want to do that whole, white picket fence shit, and the 2.2 cars and all that good crap, because I'm ready. And I'm ready, and I know how satisfying it is, and I want babies and the whole bit. And that's a different objective, but you got to define that for yourself. You got to figure out where you are and understand too that your needs change over time. Mm? You're thirsty in the morning when you wake up, right? And then you're hungry around noon. What, you eat scrambled eggs but don't drink any water in the morning, and then you drink a gallon of water at noon? No, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Your needs change at different points in time. So pay attention to what those needs are and articulate them. Know what they are. The simple act of articulation, of knowing what it is that you want, is so incredibly important. And I'm not talking about just dating. I'm talking about like life. So many men just drift through life without ever articulating what they want, and they just fall into this or that. And if they'd only bothered for 5 minutes to precisely articulate what they would really like, they could have made their lives much happier, more fulfilling, and more satisfying, and more successful. But again, because most people are NPCs, most people are fucking morons, they don't bother to do such a simple exercise. Don't be that fool. Be smart. Articulate what you want. Do you want a quick lay or a wife? What kind of girl is good for you at that time? And which will cause you misery at that time and into the future? And it's also, if you can answer this question even better, find out why a certain girl would cause you misery. Mm? Yeah, because a lot of times that a certain type of girl is going to be bad for you. Well, it doesn't matter what the type of girl is, but you know that she's going to be bad for you. Sometimes it's smart for you to sort of like dig into that and figure it out for yourself. Why is it that this particular type of girl, doesn't matter what type it is, I mean, it's going to be specific to you, of course. Why is she bad for you? And why do you keep on chasing that particular kind of girl? What need is she satisfying, or do you think that she's going to satisfy? You see, sort of like psychoanalyze yourself. It's a very useful exercise. And again, it can save you a ton of heartache. I myself failed to do this on several key moments in my life. And I wound up with women who could not satisfy me and who made my life miserable. Mhm. And they were long relationships. And yeah. So you got to do this. Okay. Okay. Now, before going on a first date, know exactly what you want out of the date. Okay. You might not know what you want out of the woman until you've dated her. Okay. Because again, you might not know who you're dealing with. You need to spend more time with her to figure out who you are dealing with, who she is, right? Is she a whore, or is she the, future wife, or whatever point in between? So that's perfectly fine. But what you want to do, again, is to articulate what you want out of the date. Okay. Now, shit, man, I'm gone 80 minutes and I'm finally here on the first fucking date. Damn. But anyway, all that prelude was important. Okay. Now, so you met a girl, however the fuck you met her. She gave you her number, you set up a date, dinner, drinks, whatever. What now? Okay, date one. The abstract objective on the first date, the first time you guys go out, to check each other out to see if it's going to happen, either drinks or dinner or coffee, whatever the fuck it is. But the first date, it's to figure out what kind of girl she is. Is she a one night stand or the future mother of your children? You want to figure that out as quickly as possible. Okay. And there are all kinds of warning signs. And I've done videos about it, never date this girl, never date that girl, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about, right? The first date is to figure out what kind of girl she is. You want to figure that out as quickly as possible. Okay. Now, the concrete objective, the abstract is sort of like, what's your guiding principle? The concrete objective, like the specifics, okay, is to kiss her and to have her view you as a sexual being. Now, I'm going to tell you something that is extremely embarrassing to me, but it's happened to me, and I bet it's happened to you. You've met some girl and you liked her, and she liked you. And you guys went out and you went for coffee and then you walked and you walked all over the city and you talked and you talked. And the whole time you were together, like 2, 3, 4, 5 fucking hours. You went over the whole fucking city. I did this once in Paris with a girl I met who worked at the Charles de Gaulle airport at some shop there. In a previous flight, I'd been sort of like stuck there, and I chatted her up. And then a subsequent trip to Paris, I eventually moved to Paris, right? I called her up to go on a date, and we went on a date, and we walked around and around and around the whole fucking city. I never took her hand. It was the most embarrassing thing. It was like I couldn't all of a sudden work up the nerve, and I didn't know what to do, and we just kept on talking and walking, and you know 3, 4 fucking hours and nothing, and that was the last time I saw her. She was like, "This guy's boring. He doesn't wanna fuck me." Okay? Yeah. This happens to even the best of us, even most experienced. This happened to me in 2010. I was 42 fucking years old. Granted, I've been sort of like out of the game for a while because I've been dating somebody long term, and that had sort of like fucked me up insofar as my dating bona fides, right? But, yeah, I was an old guy, 42, and I did this shit, okay? It happens. It happens to all of us, that we sort of, like, get suckered into this shit of just talking instead of actually doing, instead of getting physical, getting sexual, okay? Trying to kiss a girl, successful or not, signals unmistakably that this is romantic sexual. I mean, fuck romantic, it's sexual, okay? It unmistakably signals that. You want to make that clear. Okay. That's the concrete objective. You want to kiss her. And as I'll explain, even if you don't successfully kiss her, even if she just sort of like turns aside and gives you a cheek, that's okay. Okay. And I'll explain in just a moment. But what's the actual concrete objective is for her to see you as sexual, as a guy who wants to fuck her. Okay. It's very important that she gets that message loud and clear. No equivocations, no ambiguity. No. And every time that I've successfully dated any girl going back to my 20s, I basically followed the following outline. Okay. And this is what works for me. Your variations will be different, but I'll tell you right now, there are certain key issues that work like a charm, and yeah, for everybody. Okay, so here goes. This is the date itself. I personally like to take girls to a well. Before I get into that, how are we doing on insofar as the you know, how are we doing insofar as the audio, visual, video, and all of that? Okay, hit me with a +1 to make sure that everything's copacetic. I'm looking quickly over the chat here and seems to be okay. So yeah, I'm guessing all good. Oh, +1. Great. Okay. Just checking up, Okay. So this works for me. Results may vary, but I take girls to a quiet, expensive restaurant. Okay. Personally. I dress well, I groom myself well, but I don't overdo it. Now, in my case in particular, I like to dress in a button-down shirt, no tie, sports jacket, jeans, comfortable shoes, or even sneakers. Okay. Now the thing is, see, the shirt and the sports jacket, they're expensive. Okay, and the shirts I get, run me, I don't know, 150, $200. And the sports jackets, $1,000 and up. And the thing is, see, there's a truism about fashion. The expensive clothes, the quality clothes, they're like a fucking beacon. People recognize them instantly. I'm going to talk about in a little bit in the second date about an Armani T-shirt that I got for real. I got an Armani T-shirt, not the Armani AX, but like an actual Armani T-shirt that cost me like $700. It was a fucking T-shirt, but the weird thing was that women could tell. People who are not with an eye for fashion, and that's most women, they can tell the expensive clothes. They can tell when a guy is dressed in um, crummy clothes that are cheap, and when they're dressed in a T-shirt that was actually made by Armani and is unbelievably expensive. They can tell. Okay. So anyway, um, yeah, I dress well, expensive. That's what I mean, but not like a suit and tie for crying out loud. Okay, but like again, this is your thing, and you experiment as you see fit. Never go for cheap clothes. Never, even if they look good, even if they are like copies of really expensive clothes. I don't know how this is, but women can tell the difference at a glance. They can just spot it and say, "Oh yeah, that's not real." See? And the thing is, see, there are certain cheap clothes or relatively cheap clothes that they get a pass on, like blue jeans, Levi Strauss blue jeans. They're like, "Oh, those are Levi's," but they can tell when it's some like really cheap knockoff. When it's like Wrangler jeans, they can tell, and with some Chinese no-name jeans, they're like, "Ew." I mean, Levi's are, 100 bucks, I think. Actually, I have no idea how expensive they are, but they're not precisely cheap, right? They're not cheap clothes, even though they used to be, right? And that's the whole point of Levi's plus jeans. But anyway, they can tell. They can tell. They can tell. So don't don't try to fake it, because see, women, when they are dealing with you, especially in an early meeting, they are looking everywhere for signs that you are a fake, that you are not what you appear to be. Again, it's compliance testing. So if you use cheap clothes that sort of like look good, but they're cheap, she will know and she will reject you. Simple as that. It's so fucking simple and so fucking obvious. And guys don't seem to believe it. I've seen guys who wear cheap clothes, and there's something about it. I'm thinking of a guy in particular that I knew way back when I was teaching English. He was another English teacher, and he would always dress really sharp, but you could tell that the clothes were like cheap from like a cheap Chinese knockoffs. They looked good, like they'd look good in a picture, but they weren't quality, and you could tell when you were near him. It's weird. Anyway, um, I personally always sit next to a girl at the restaurant, next to her, or at best, at worst, at 90-degree angle. At a square table, sometimes the table is relatively small, so you can't actually sit next to each other. So I sit, or I make sure that she sits immediately to my right at 90 degrees. That's worst case scenario. I never allow a girl to sit across from me. Never. Okay. And by the way, if the table is set up so that we have to sit across from each other, I say, no, no, I much prefer you sit to my right. And if it means that one of us has to be with our backs to the door or the backs to something else, I make sure it's her. Okay. I don't want to feel insecure. Let her feel insecure about her position, but it doesn't matter. She's always going to be sitting either immediately to my right next to me, side by side, or at the worst case, because it's not possible otherwise, at a 90-degree angle. Okay. Now, why? Okay. Well, see, if you sit across from each other, it's confrontational. Okay. In fact, when you have a business meeting with somebody and you want to make the deal, okay? Maybe you have the upper hand or he has the upper hand, or maybe it's neither one. You want to make sure that you, instead of sitting like at some conference table across from one another, figure out a way that you can sit next to each other, possibly like on a sofa or something, to talk about the issue and figure out how you can come to a solution. It's much better. See, you sit across from somebody and it's automatically confrontational, and automatically people's defenses are up. You sit next to a girl, and you know what happens? It feels like complicit. It feels like you're in this together. There was a restaurant in London, in Kensington. I forget the name of the fucking thing. Anyway, I'd take girls there all the time, and I'd make sure that we'd sit next to each other and we'd have this panoramic view of the whole restaurant. It was great, okay, because there was nothing behind us, right? Because there was like benches up against the wall, and so rather than have one little table sitting across from each other, I'd say, oh, two together, and oh, the other two people are coming shortly. Of course, they never showed up. That's the only reason that they would allow me to squish in two tables together. And so we'd sit on the bench, and of course, across from us would be two empty chairs, and so we'd be able to see the whole restaurant, right? And it creates this complicity, the sense shared adventure. Okay. Okay. So you sit next to each other. Now you're talking to each other. Now, another advantage when you sit next to each other, when she's sitting right next to you, you can turn to her, say something witty, and then literally turn away and literally turn the back of your head to her, just completely disengaging from her. Do that a few times. I don't know, two, three times over the course of 20, 30 minutes. And you know what'll happen? She'll start to reach for you, reach for your arm to grab you, to pull your attention back on her. Works like a charm. It's worked for me. That's my empiric experience, direct knowledge of this. It happens every time, no exception. Okay, I mean, hit her with the punchline, and then laugh and sort of like lean away and turn away, or lean back away from her. Always you. How could I put it? You nail her with the punchline of whatever witticism, and you're slightly leaning forward, and then you pull away and have her try to come to you. You know who does this really, really fucking well? Now that I think about it, I hadn't thought about it in years, but this is true. Craig Ferguson. Go on YouTube and look at Craig Ferguson flirting with women, and even when he talks to guys too. But Craig Ferguson, the a late night comedian whose show got canceled or moved on to other stuff, I don't know. It was a great show. He's a charming guy, but what he would do, he would flirt with his guests, actresses and whatnot, and he would always lean away. And notice and watch it. The women, they'd start to lean forward, lean towards him. Mhm. And it works. It works. I'm telling you. Okay, so yeah, you sit next to her, and after about 20 to 30 minutes, okay, you've gotten your first drink, you've ordered dinner, whatever it is, all right, or maybe it's just coffee. Okay, I mean, it's a fucking Starbucks. Okay, but the thing is, see, after 20, 30 minutes of establishing a rapport, chatting, making her laugh with witticism, sharp, on the ball, you're smart, you're clever, you say funny things, right? And by the way, don't feel afraid to have bits that are prepared, okay? Just so long as it doesn't, it's not obvious that it's a prepared bit, okay? You got to be very careful because some guys will have a few prepared bits and they're really good, but then they'll like force the conversation so they can get the bit in and the girl catches on. It's real fucking obvious, okay? Don't be that guy. If you have a really good bit, but there's never an opportunity to slip it in, don't worry about it. You can save it for later, okay? But don't force it. Only let it happen when it's real natural, natural to the point of invisibility. Because if it becomes obvious, then she's like, oh, he's playing me. See? Again, you fail the compliance test. She's not going to want to fuck you. She's not going to want to have a second date with you. Okay? Okay. So after about 20, 30 minutes that you've established a rapport, you start touching her thigh. It doesn't matter if she's wearing a skirt, if she's wearing pants, it doesn't matter what. You touch the middle of her thigh, of the leg closest to you. Okay. You put your hand on it and you gently, gently squeeze it on the punchline or the important word of the sentence. Say that you're saying, I don't know, you're saying, um, oh, fuck it. Okay. You're saying, for instance, I met a celebrity the other day. I met Kamala Harris. Yeah. And I went to a dinner party and Kamala Harris was there. And I met Kamala Harris and she was a fool. Okay, that sentence, right? I met Kamala Harris, and that's the emphasis, right? Right then, I reach over in Kamala, my hand is on her thigh, Harris, and as I say Harris, on the emphasis on the first syllable, I gently, but a little bit with a surprise, squeeze her thigh and slide and pull away my hand. So you never give her the opportunity to take your hand off her thigh. See, because if you leave your hand on her thigh and she reaches over and pulls it away, you're fucked. Okay. You got to retract it before she makes a move to retract it. Okay. And what'll happen is that if you do that, okay, of retracting it, I'm like emphasizing and retracting, and you do it periodically, not every fucking time. Make it at random, but like stretch it out. After a while, she gets used to it and she likes it. Okay. Because what's happening is that there's a stress in your voice and she's feeling this touch on her thigh. And it's not like way up in her crotch. Okay. It's in the middle towards her knee. Okay. In a way that is provocative, but not scary and not rude or disrespectful. You see what I'm saying? It's like you're getting her attention and she's feeling the tingle. I did this with one girl, and later we dated for quite a while. She told me that that was a thing that like freaked her out and turned her on, you know, when the first time I did it. And she said that no guy had ever done it to her. Yeah. Yeah. Because most guys don't have balls. Okay. You do that shit. And what'll happen is that at first she'll be freaked out and you got to wait like a couple of minutes, but, keep the conversation flowing. Mhm. Keep the conversation and always ask her shit. That's the important thing. You want to ask her shit. She's talking about stuff and you're emphasizing and pointing out you see what I'm saying? But this thigh touching is incredibly important because it accustoms her to having you feel her up. Okay? It accustoms her to feeling like your possession. And paradoxically, girls like it. Oh, they like it a whole lot. Mhm. And you keep on doing that, okay? Like periodically. I mean, not every fucking second. I mean, that's one of the problems with a lot of guys who are fucking autistic about dating, right? They think that you have to do something and bang that fucking drum, like, hit it every fucking second. No, no, no. It's a little bit, okay? I mean, every 4 or 5 minutes, but it depends also because it could be that you two are talking and she's laughing and she's really laughing and then you can do it a little bit more, see, and all this just depends on um vibe, feel, and also experience. You got to do this a lot of times, but so long as you withdraw your hand and you clearly withdraw it, not just sort of like it's lingering there, but like for instance, you reach with your right hand, she's sitting right next to you, to your right, you reach over with your right hand, you squeeze her left thigh as you give some emphasis to some syllable, and then withdraw that right hand and use it to pick up your glass of wine and drink it after you've given the punchline and leaning away. And she will feel very secure because that hand that squeezed her is nowhere near her now. It's way over away from her, holding a glass in front of your face while you drink that glass of whatever the fuck. You see how it works. See? But if you keep the hand there, like between you and her, it's like a spider. It's gonna scare her. It's going to be like, when's that fucker going to move? Is it going to move at me? Is it going to attack me again or whatever? But if you like reach forward, squeeze her, pull away, and use that hand or both your hands to do other things, eat your food, whatever the fuck, it's going to be more relaxing. She's going to feel like the surprise, but not the insecurity that the hand is lingering around there. And like I said, you don't do it every minute or every 2 minutes. You do it periodically when it really warrants it. When you know, and you'll know if she's welcoming to it. This girl I mentioned that I did the first time, and she said it shocked the fuck out of her, but it turned her on. Yeah, I didn't do it right away because I could feel that it sort of like unnerved her. And then when she had calmed down a little bit, you know? And I was saying something and she was giggling again, and that's when I did it again. And it worked. She was calmer, it didn't surprise her. And by the third, fourth time, she was welcoming it. And I dated her for like a year. So yeah, you see, that's how it works. That is like guaranteed. Okay. As you do this over a hour-long period or 90-minute period that you're at a restaurant having a meal, increase the time that your hand is on her thigh and never keep it still. If you keep your hand on her thigh, squeeze it and keep rubbing it around and then withdrawing. The second you feel that she's like, okay, 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 you pull. It's better to leave early than stay too long. Okay. It's always better to leave them wanting more than to overstay your welcome in any situation, and most especially that one. Yeah, because of course, you run a slight risk that she says, oh, he's sexually assaulting me or some shit like that. Okay. Yeah. And here's the other thing that you want to be doing. I'm mentioning it later or no. Yeah. But anyway, before I get there, um, if you're meeting just for drinks, change the venue at 60 minutes, never longer. Okay. Or when the conversation flags. You get to like the minute 50 and you feel that the conversation is sagging, right? Or something, you say, "Oh, you know something? I'm tired of this vibe of this restaurant. I think that's why we're getting a little down. Let's go someplace else." And acknowledge the fact that maybe the conversation is flagging, and blame it on the venue. Blame it on the venue. Blame it on the restaurant. Saying, "Oh, this place." I mean, make something up. It could be the most delightful place you've ever been to in your fucking life, but say, "Oh, it's too old fashioned" or some shit like that, and that's why it's dragging us down. Let's go someplace else. Okay. Do notice that there's a difference between um, the conversation dragging down and a very comfortable and complicit silence, which are the most important moments. And don't interrupt it. Okay. Sometimes, and you'll know it. You're going to be with some girl and you've talked and you had a great time for like 30, 40 minutes. And then you sort of like, you need a breather in the conversation, right? And you're both quiet, but you're not uncomfortable. You're very comfortable. Are you feeling this is nice? And you'll know it because what happens is that human beings are remarkably perceptive of each other. And so what will happen is that if you say, "Yeah, we're not talking, but this feels really nice," she'll probably 90% likely be thinking the exact same thing. Okay? You let that linger. You let that linger, linger. And when she starts to say something, let her, and then immediately say, we've been here for like almost an hour. I think go someplace else. This is a great place, but come on, the night's young or whatever the fuck. Let's go to some other venue. And oh, you've heard of something, and of course, prepare where you want to take her. All right. Yeah. If it's just drinks, never stay at a place for longer than 60 minutes. Never. Okay. 50, 45, between 45 minutes and 60 minutes, you got to figure out a good time to move on to the next place. Okay. If it's dinner, dinner is longer, of course. Change venues before dessert. You say to her, "Hey, you know something? This place is great. I had a great time at this restaurant, but why don't we go and get dessert to this other place?" And of course, again, you've prepared it so you know what other place that you're talking about, and you go there. It could be that you took her to an expensive restaurant. You of course pay for the fucking meal. I mean, this shit of splitting bills, it's for pussies. It's for losers. Okay, you don't split the bill. You pay for it, and you pay for it in a way that's discreet. You don't make it to do about it. If it's cash, fine. Credit card, fine. But discreet, quick. If she has to go off to powder her nose, take that opportunity to pay off the bill. Don't fuck around. Okay. Yeah. Don't, you want that transaction to be smooth. Okay. And invisible. Okay. I personally like it whenever she leaves for the bathroom, and it's usually after the end of the meal. I just pay it off real quick. Anyway, if you're at dinner and you've gone to an expensive place, you can also suggest that you go to some cheapy place to have like some, waffles or some shit like that. Waffle House. I love fucking Waffle House. Have dessert there. I mean, something charming and ridiculous. I mean, you took her to an expensive place, right? And the dessert is going to be trivial in comparison to the price of the entire meal. So if you say, "Let's not have dessert here, I really," and this is going to sound cheap or whatever you want to call it, but I really want to have waffles at the Waffle House, which I love. Okay. For those of you who aren't American, a Waffle House is like this chain of restaurants in the south of the United States that gives you waffles with ice cream, waffles with all kinds of shit. It's cheap. fatty food, and it's yummy as fuck. Okay. If you tell her that, she's going to find it charming because it is. Okay. Yeah, because you already took her to the expensive place. She compliance tested you. You can afford to go to a nice place, and you paid it off, and no problem. They're not looking at you funny as you're leaving the restaurant, right? And so, if you're suggesting, let's not have the tiramisu at this restaurant. Let's go and have some waffles, and just eat like crappy food there. She'll find it charming. I mean, normal girls. There are some gold digging girls who would be like, no, ew, that's disgusting. And you know that girl's not for you. Or maybe you want to fuck her that night or subsequent date, but long term, she's not for you, right? But a normal girl, and most girls are normal, she'll find that charming because it is. Okay. So you change venues before dessert. Okay. My point is, you never want to stay at one venue for too long. Okay. You always want to leave when things are on an up note, when she's laughing. Okay. Or better yet, when the both of you are laughing. When you're both laughing and you're like, this place is great, but let's move on. Okay. Now, you always want to walk between venues if possible. Okay. Never go in separate cars. Never. Okay. Because it gives both participants a chance to think. Okay. And anything can happen. It's better to have one continuous, seamless interaction. Do keep in mind, if you are in one restaurant and you have to take a car to another, and she came in her car and you came in your car, right? She hops into her car, you hop into your car, and you go to the Waffle House. What happens is that mentally it seems like it's a second date and you're a little bit talked out. And so it's not going to work very well. So if you actually have to take a car, and this happens in America, be smart and say, we can go in my car or I can go in yours so long as you bring me back to my car. Something like that. Okay. And of course, you want to prepare a place that's, like a mile or two away, not 20 miles, because then it's a hassle for her and the whole bit. You see what I'm saying? Now, why would you want to offer that? Because if you tell her, I can drive us both, she might feel insecure. She doesn't know you that well. And maybe you're a mass murderer or some shit like that, right? She might not really believe that, but, it stresses her. You don't want her stressed. Huh? So if you offer to go in her car, so long as she brings you back to yours, no problem. See? Yeah, but if you're in like Europe or something like that, you can walk, and walking is always good in that regard. Okay, so now always have your phone recording the entire date, every date, no matter how many you have, and always have your phone recording when you're having sex, always, because that's the world we live in. It's insurance. Because later on, you had a great date, everything was fantastic. You went on one date, two date, you fucked her, and then, it didn't work out for whatever reason. And later, she says this, she says that, she says all kinds of bullshit about you. And what are you going to say? You're going to say, no, no, Your Honor, nothing happened. We had a great time. Blah, 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 blah. And judge is like, believe all women. Fuck you. 10 years and fines, and you're losing your job, and everything goes to shit in your life. Yeah, that happens. It happens all the time. It happened to fucking me. I did a video about it, my story time video. I'm telling you. So what you want to do is you want to use your phone to record the entire date. And it's very easy. What you do is you put it in in the pocket of your sports jacket, right? Or somewhere, nearby, near your voice where it'll pick up her voice. If you're not sure, experiment. Yeah, of course, just dress up like you're going to go on the date and put the phone in different places, and then just go to stores, interact with the workers at the stores or the barista at the Starbucks or whatever the fuck, and later check up on the recording and which position is the best one. It's real fucking simple. It's not complicated, but you do that every fucking time. And you download those conversations and you put them in a discrete little file on your computer. Okay. Now, in some states in the United States and some countries in Europe, they have laws that you can't record one side of a conversation. But I will tell you right now, see, uh, if you get convicted for rape, the penalty for that is a lot more serious and severe and devastating than if you get convicted for recording a conversation without somebody else's permission. Simple as that. And in those cases, by the way, if that were to happen, that you're accused of rape and you have the tape to prove that there was no rape, that it's all bullshit, the prosecutor will let you go and say, yeah, be on your way. Yeah, you did something bad, something naughty. Maybe we'll throw a $200 fine at you, but Go away. You're fine. See, because they're going to have bigger fish to fry. They're going to have this girl who falsely accused you and perjured herself. And, that's a serious shit. Okay. You want that insurance. Don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Be smart. Okay. Don't feel squeamish. And I'm telling you, not just the date, every interaction, every sexual encounter you have with a girl. The only time you stop doing these is when you've met her parents. I'm serious. See, when you meet a girl's parents and she meets your parents, huh, that's when you know that you've crossed the Rubicon. That's serious. See, every other meetup, sexual encounter, whatnot, it doesn't mean anything until you've crossed that Rubicon. You meet her parents, and what's that? See, some girl is gonna bring some random fuckhead to meet her parents. No, she's gonna bring the guy that she's really, really serious about. Marrying and having babies serious about. Okay, of course. Okay, at that point, yeah, she's not gonna accuse you of like false rape or some shit like that. Before then, anything can happen. Okay, because you don't know her. So be smart. Be smart. Don't have any qualms about it. Okay. Now, um, yeah, this has been my experience. After about 60 minutes of interacting with somebody, see, with a girl, of course, um, after a high point, 60 minutes, you might have changed venues. Okay. And suppose you're at the Waffle House and you just ordered your waffles. The waffles arrived, they're the 249 bucks for the waffles, but the gooey goodness of that shit is priceless, right? And so you're eating your waffles and she's laughing and you're laughing, and she's again sitting next to you in the booth at the Waffle House. And also, when that happens, sit against the window so that she can leave. She has that feeling of freedom that she can leave. See, you're locked in, right? Because you're up against the window on the bench at the Waffle House, table, right? But she can leave. And this is very important because you always want to give her that feeling that she can leave whenever she wants to because it gives her a sense of control, even though you're controlling the situation. You see? So, uh, you're eating your waffles, you got maple syrup all over the place, and it's yummy, it's gooey, and you're like laughing and saying, "Oh man, I got all this cheap maple syrup on my very expensive thing. The dry cleaning bill is going to be 10 times the price of this fucking dessert, but God, it's good," and shit like that, and you're laughing and the whole thing. And you hit some high point in making her laugh, and you're laughing too. I mean, you're having a good time, right? And when it starts to die down and you're looking at her and she's going to have shining eyes, right? Okay, you go in and say, "I want to kiss you." Hmm? I want to kiss you. And you pause for a second and see her reaction, but just lean forward and see what happens. Okay. Two possibilities. If she shies away and gives you a cheek, okay, it could be that she's virtuous or she's not that into you. Those are one of the two possibilities. The other one is that if she returns the kiss on the lips, it could be that she's really into you or that she's a slut. One of those two possibilities. See, there are four possibilities here. If she shies away, but she's sort of like smiling and like, like she wants more, she's into you. And she's just, she's got her scruples. She could be a very virtuous girl. Could be that she's a virgin for all you know, right? But she's got her scruples and, doesn't want to give the game away, but she's into you. Okay. And you'll get that vibe. It's almost instantaneous. Okay. You'll get the vibe. If you lean in and she like moves her head to just give you give you a cheek and kiss it. Okay. Whatever is proffered, be it a cheek or lips, kiss them as best you can, softly, gently. You're not a fucking animal. What happens is that you'll know almost immediately what's up. Now, if she starts kissing you like hungrily right away, that's a bad sign. She's probably a slut. She's probably fucking around a lot. She wants to fuck. Okay. Okay. It's a bad sign for like a long term relationship. It's a very good sign if you want to fuck her that night. See? And ultimately, all dating is about eventually getting a girl into bed. That's the whole point of it. Okay. But it depends on what kind of girl you want. If you have defined for yourself beforehand that you want something, a little more serious and whatnot, a girl willing to hungrily kiss you right away, it could be that she's really, really into you, or frankly, more likely, she's a slut. She's riding the carousel and she's like, yeah, I had a great time with him. He's great. So let's fuck. Okay. Girl who's that casual and cavalier about sex, she's not a quality woman. Okay. Simple as that. And that's a truism. And it's been a truism in every civilization, in every society. See? So this is the first day we're on, right? Okay. So, you got to calibrate what's going on. Okay. It could be that she returns the kiss on the lips, but she breaks it off. She's like, "No, no, 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 no. Let's calm down." She says, "Let's calm down." Then Jesus Christ, you're in like Flynn, man. Okay, and she's not likely not a whore. You got to keep in mind, promiscuous women don't have a problem taking it all the way because they fucked around so much. You know, they got a body count of 10 or more. Like a hot, passionate kiss at the Waffle House after the experience I've given you at the nice restaurant that cost like a couple $100, and then the cheapy dessert at the Waffle House and having a laugh and having a great time. She's gonna want to fuck you, okay? If she returns the kiss hungry. But if she returns the kiss hungry, but then sort of like breaks it off herself and says like no, 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 then she's super into you and she's probably a more decent girl. See, that's the reality of it. Okay. Um, oh, by the way, never pull this move when you're walking and talking, okay? Because it's awkward. You want to be sitting down, okay? It's just more convenient, just easier, okay? So, like I said, don't pull this move when you're walking. There's a temptation to do it, okay? Uh, the circumstances have to be very perfect that you're not really moving and there's no really need for movement, okay? So be careful when you're walking, okay? But when you're sitting down, you're all good. Um, but like I said, always, pull this move after a high note, after a big laugh, after like a wow, that's amazing, whatever the fuck. But it has to be that she's feeling like a strong emotion because what you want to do is kiss her at the moment that she's feeling a strong emotion so that mentally she's tying in that strong emotion to physical contact with you. The hand on the thigh, the gently but surprisingly squeezing. And by the way, you know what you can do if you're not sure about this? Get a friend, a guy friend, no homo, to practice on you and you practice on him. I know it sounds gay as fuck, but sometimes it's the only way. Okay, I mean you can practice on yourself, but it's not quite the same thing. Okay, uh, when that happens, when you get that practice in with, I know it sounds super gay, and I'm not even looking at the chat right now, but I'm assuming that all of you are saying that holy shit, CRP is actually a faggot. No, no, no. I'm telling you, you pull this stunt with a guy friend, and I mean, like as practice, as deliberate practice, and you tell him, I want to practice this move and see if it works or not. I don't want to fuck you or anything like that. I just want to see if it will work with some girl. You practice it and you'll figure out the how tight to squeeze and how to do it. Okay. And you'd be surprised, because a lot of guys squeeze too hard. Mhm. It's the same thing as those guys. You've met these guys that when they shake your hand, they squeeze the fuck out of your hand and pump it really hard. I mean, you feel that your hand, the bones in your hand are getting mashed and that your shoulder is getting ripped out of its socket. And you're like, what the fuck is the matter with this cocksucker? See? And the guy has no ill intention. He's never practiced or never realized it. He's never realized his own strength or nobody's ever told him. It happens. Of course it does. You have to regulate that shit. You have to calibrate that. Okay, so you don't look like a fucking fool. I mean, imagine a guy like that who squeezes your hand so fucking hard that it feels like every bone in your hand is broken and your arm ripped out of its socket. Imagine that fucker pulling this thigh move. What the fuck you think would happen? The girl would jump out of her fucking seat and say, call the cops, right? Yeah, of course. And the guy is perfectly innocent. And, be smart, practice this shit. Okay. Don't pull a move unless you've tried it out. It's like a lawyer. He never asks a question in court that he doesn't know the answer to already. Okay? Yeah, don't do that. Okay, so end the date early and on a high note. Yes, yes, this is crucial. At 2 hours, the second there is a high point, a laugh, a strong emotion, amazement, or like whatever, you feel it's a strong positive emotion that she is experiencing, right? You check your watch right then and there, lean back and say, "Oh man, I've been having such a great time, but unfortunately I have to go because reasons. I got a meeting tomorrow morning. I got school. I got this. I got that." Make it up, okay? It doesn't even matter if you're just going to be, waking up at 11 a.m. and jerking off until 3 in the afternoon before you have to do anything, right? Make up a lie and say that you got to call it quits early. You always want to leave them wanting more, okay? You hit a high point, she's laughing, you're leaning away from her, she's leaning towards you, her eyes are shining at you, and then you deliberately check your watch. And by the way, I always suggest you wear a watch and not use your phone as your watch, because you can check the wristwatch very discreetly, very easily, to pace yourself. Okay, with a phone it's harder. Okay, and by the way, and so far as phones are concerned, never have a phone in a date. I mean, never look at the phone on a date, and you shouldn't, of course. You're recording the fucking thing, right? The other thing, if she breaks out the phone, make a joke of it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I always break out my phone and break out Minecraft when I go on a date," something like that. Something to, you know, and you focus it on yourself. I always start playing Sudoku when I go on a date. It's about you, but it's about her, right? So you're not making her feel bad, but at the same time, she'll get the message, right? And that shows, social intelligence, which she'll appreciate. And at the same time, it'll put her a bit on the defensive. And of course, you're saying this with a smile. You're smiling. Well, you say that, yeah, I always break out the Sudoku when I go on a first date, or something like that. That's actually a bit harsh, but you see what I'm saying. You calibrate something, and you should practice that, or figure it out. Like, have it as a bit, because you don't want her on the phone while you guys are hanging out, right? If she insists on the phone, you know, eh, do it again a little bit more firmly. And by the way, ignoring when they take pictures of the food. I don't understand why the fuck they do that, but they do, So, okay. Ignore that shit. I mean, I've taken pictures of food. Like, I went to really, really good restaurants. You can check out my Instagram feed. When I was living in Amsterdam, I took to a few restaurants I went to that were really, really good. That, I just wanted to remember what the fuck I ate because it was so fucking good, right? But if I'm just going to some regular random, I mean, the restaurants I went to were like, I don't know, the bill was like 500 euros, some shit like that, right? But if I'm going to some random regular restaurant, the bill is going to be like, I don't know, $100 or something like that, or maybe 200 with the wine. Ah, fuck that. I'm not going to take any fucking picture. It's not worth it. I mean, the pictures I took were of, like, you know, good restaurants. Anyway, the point, but women take pictures. They'll take pictures of the fucking Waffle House, for crying out loud, right? So anyway, that, don't worry. But them, like, checking messages and notifications, she's got a problem, or she doesn't give a shit about you. Okay, and either way, you don't want to deal with her. And if she keeps on going with the phone, dude, don't prolong misery. If you realize at any point in the date that's not worth it, that this girl is just not fucking worth it, you just tell her, look, you seem like a nice person, but we're not going to work out. So why don't I just take you home, or you go home in your car, or whatever the fuck, and just part as friends, because I don't really want to interact with you. I thought you were different, but you're not, or you're not, or you're the kind of person you are is not somebody that would be compatible with me. I mean, make it clear that you're just rejecting her, and don't feel bad about it. Just tell her, you know, and she'll be like, oh well, what, and if she pushes the issue, say, look, you're on the fucking phone instead of talking to me. I don't want to hang out with you. I want to hang out with people who actually care about my presence. So, great meeting you. I'm gonna go and pay the bill, and goodbye. You know, don't block her or anything. She'll probably call you up and apologize, and you might get a good lay out of it. But a girl like that, unless she jumps through a lot of hoops, she's not long term. She's just a fuck, you know, and a really rude person. I mean, come on, any girl who does that kind of shit, It's just fucking rude as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, um, end the date early. And at the end, say, I want to see you again. I want. You see, this is what you do. You get one of those tattoo guns, right? You know what I'm talking about, the kind that tattoo artists have, right? The ones that squirt out ink, right? And so what you do is you take one of these guns, okay? And you take it and you go inside your skull, right? At the prefrontal lobe area, but right in front of your brain so that your brain sees it every fucking second. You write down, quote, I want dot, 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 end quote. I want you to tattoo that inside your skull so you never fucking forget it. I want to see you again. I want to kiss you. I want to fuck you. I want to, whatever. Okay. Always I want. Never can I see you again? Oh, I had such a great date. You're so lovely. Oh my God. I love you so much and you're so pretty and charming. Can I see you again? She's going to say, get the fuck away from me, you fucking pussy ass bitch loser. Of course not. Come on. Huh? You know, you see my point. See, lots of guys do this shit. You don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. And the thing is, see, most of us, we have been taught, socialized into believing that we have to ask for permission for our mere existence. See, this is why so many guys are just dropping out of society altogether and becoming just, basement dwelling incels who play video games all fucking day, right? And they got no job, they got no nothing, they got no hope because they've been taught all their lives that they have to ask for permission to exist. Nobody wants to feel that way. Nobody wants that indignity. Nobody wants to live in a society where it's all geared toward women and men are treated like shit. And one of the ways that they've done this is by convincing you that you always have to ask for something. Please, pleading, like a little fucking bitch. No, I want, I take. You ask the open-ended question, I want to see you again. And you see what her response is. Okay, so let's talk about the good signs. Okay, the good signs is she doesn't kiss you on the lips, but clearly wants to see you again because she tells you. You know, when you leaned in to try to kiss her, and by the way, you do that at 60 minutes, and if it fails, if she just gives you a cheek, just do it again later on, like at 90 minutes of the overall date or whenever. Certainly before the end of the date, before you leave and part company, right? And of course, if she on the first go, she kissed you on the lips, when you're parting company and you're standing there by her car, you kiss her. And what you do, and this is key, this is one of those little tricks that works like a charm. Okay. You reach behind her with one arm, left or right, it doesn't matter. The other arm is at your side. You reach around and you put your hand at her back, at the small of her back, just as it starts to curve into her ass. Right there, your whole palm open-handed, and by the way, your hands better be fucking dry. Okay? In all of these interactions. Because nothing is a worse turnoff to a girl than sweaty hands. Nothing. I think of it. Have you ever shaken the hand of a guy who's got sweaty palms? It's like a fucking dead fish, and you're repulsed by the guy. I mean, the guy might be like, I don't know, Jeff Bezos or something like that, and your entire future depends on the guy. But you shake a sweaty guy with the sweaty palms, and you're like, get this fucking cocksucker away from me. What the fuck is the matter with him? Same thing with women. Okay, if not worse. So never have sweaty hands. Dry them on your fucking pants or whenever the fuck when she's not looking or some shit like that. Don't put fucking talcum powder on them, by the way, because women can sense it. Okay, actually anybody can sense it. It's pretty easy. And also the smell of talcum powder. Even the talcum powder that doesn't have a scent has a scent. Okay, so don't use talcum powder. Just dry them somehow, or else just go and fucking wash your hands and dry them on the machine or some shit like that. Okay, but anyway, um, when you if you kissed her, if she did respond to your kiss, even if she like sort of like kissed you and then she broke it off and she's like, no, 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 let's take it easy. Let's hold our horses. That kind of, which is very, very good because it means that she is a decent person, not a cock hopper who got really turned on by you, but she's got enough scruples and wherewithal to like, control her own desire. That's a very good sign. Okay. I mean, that's a girl that you're going to be happy with. Okay. Yeah. Because she's a decent girl who wants to fuck you. What more do you want out of life? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, at the end of the day, right? You say, um, this works for me. Regardless of whether she's responded to my kiss or just giving me a cheek, at the end of the day, I usually reach around her back, put my open hand in that area right where the curvature of her back turns into the curvature of her ass, right? And so I'll have like my pinky and ring finger on sort of like the top edge of her ass, and my middle finger and forefinger and thumb on the lower part of her back. And I pull her in, but with just one hand, until there is no space between her body and my body. And I usually allow my thigh to sort of like split her legs. Okay. And so, quite frankly, her crotch is up against my thigh. And I pull her in, but just one hand. The other hand is like down by my side, inert. And I kiss her and I say, I want to see you again. Okay. Usually it gets a great response. It works like a charm. Okay. Because even if she sort of like demurred the first time I tried to kiss her, the second time I try to kiss her in that situation, she'll respond just about every time. Okay. And that's how I know she's into me. But by the way, if she demurred, she decided not to kiss me the first opportunity at the 60-minute mark, I try again maybe at the 90-minute mark, maybe. It depends on feel. If I'm not feeling it or I'm not 100%, I don't go for it. But I certainly do go for it at the end of the date. I end the date early on a high note, and I walk her to her car. I'm holding her hand as we are walking there, you know, and like sort of like sometimes like swinging it, like it's like like we're like a pair of little kids. Yeah, that they enjoy that, because it's a positive memory. It's playful. Okay, it's playful. It's relaxed. It's not stressed out. Okay, and then I pull this move of like we get to her car. She hits the lock. Click click. The little chirping noise, right? And that's when I so like say, "Come here," and I put my arm around her, pull her against me, as I explained, and I go for the second try at a kiss. A couple of times, the girl has again sort of like given me the cheek, right? And you can tell right away she's just not feeling it for me. Or you can tell right away she's definitely feeling it for me, but she just doesn't want to come across like a whore. Or she'll like, No, no," but then she'll like give me a little peck on the lips or something like that. Okay. I mean, it's gonna be one or the other. Now, if she's just not feeling it for me, then it's not gonna happen. And I'll go through the motions of saying, "Oh, I want to see you again." And the girl that's like not feeling it, she'll be like, "Oh yeah, sure, let's do it. Let me check my schedule," and it's never gonna happen. You got to take it with a good humor, not be offended by it or angry by it. You just realize it's not gonna happen again. She for whatever reason that you have no control over, she is just not interested in you. Okay, she had a great time. She thought you were charming. She thought everything, but it's not gonna happen. And you got to keep in mind, like I said at the beginning, see, a Casanova, even the most successful Casanova, will not be able to fuck every girl because girls, just like guys, there could be something, like I'll tell you right now, my pet peeve, the thing that turns me off instantly, I mean, just like instantly, are fat hands. Mm? I notice them. It's the first thing I notice. Okay. And sometimes I've noticed that women with particularly ugly hands tend to hide them. They're real good at that. And that is always like a bad sign for me. Okay. Because, of course, women know that guys notice their hands. There's a certain class of guys who does. Hands and ankles. I notice the back of their hands and the back of their fingers. If they're puffy and kind of like fat, I think that they're disgusting. And I want nothing to do with them. I don't care how hot she is, nothing. She's like, no, not for me. No, because it reminds me of maids back in Chile. It's just an association that I have that I never get out of my head. Maids in Chile have, as far as I'm concerned, have fat hands. I'm sure there are maids that do not, but it's just something in my head, and no way am I going to take seriously some girl with fat hands. I'll fuck her, but I'm not going to take her seriously. I'm certainly not going to introduce her to my life. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. And it's absurd. But if I notice that on a girl I dated and I hadn't noticed it before, and I finally notice it and like, oh shit, she's got fan hands, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how charming she is, how great she is, how wonderful, smart, sexy, beautiful, what a great lay, what a brilliant mind. I could care less. She's got fan hands. She's not going the distance with me. It's arbitrary and stupid. Women have the same thing, and you will have no idea what it was. And thinking over it and grinding about it is a waste of fucking time. Don't worry. There's always somebody better just around the corner. Remember that. Okay. And of course, you're playing the game of numbers here. You're not dating the one fucking cunt. You're dating like as many as possible, for crying out loud. Okay. I mean, keep that in mind. The more the merrier. You know, these fuckers who talk about, keeping plates spinning. Yeah, I think it's a stupid metaphor, but yeah, basically, yeah, you got to spin as many plates as possible. Okay. I mean, it's fundamentally accurate. I suppose I'm irritated by the metaphor because it's been so overplayed, but it's an accurate metaphor. Spin as many plates as possible. Keep as many girls in your rotation as possible at different stages. It doesn't matter. The more, the merrier, because the more you have, the more relaxed you will be, and the more indifferent you will be. And indifference is the key to winning this particular game. The more indifferent you are, the more successful you will be. Okay. And if one girl, for whatever reason, just doesn't feel it for you, if you have lots of other girls that you're seeing at different stages of dating them, you'll be fine. You won't mind. And that's the whole point. Okay. So anyway, you say, I want to see you again. Yeah, she doesn't kiss you on the lips, but clearly wants to see you again. I mean, like, good signs. Okay. That's a good sign. When she says, you say, she doesn't let you kiss her. She gives you the cheek both times. And you say, I want to see you again. And she's like, I'm free the day after tomorrow. You're in. She's just, she's got scruples. She doesn't want to come across as easy. And a lot of times, by the way, girls who are really into you, they above more than anyone do not want to seem overeager. They do not want to kiss you right away if they're really into you. Okay. They'll want to see you again as quickly as possible. And you make it clear by kissing them that you want to fuck them, because that's the whole point. See, you kiss them in the middle of the date after an hour of interacting with them or so, or 45 minutes of interacting, whatever works best. And you kiss them at the end, or try to kiss them at the end and say that you want to see them again. You're basically signaling, hey, girl, I think you're hot. I want to fuck you. And the girl who's really into you, she'll want to try to reel you in like a fisherman, right? And not give the game away instantly, but she'll want to, because girls like fucking as much as a guy does. Okay. So that's a good sign. Okay. Another good sign is when you're talking like in person, during at the expensive restaurant, then the Waffle House, she talks about her family positively. That's a real fucking good sign. That's an excellent sign. You know, that's a really, really good sign. Because see, a girl who's not interested in you is not going to talk about her family, because her talking about her family is bringing you in to her life. You see what I'm saying? But a whore will never do that, because a whore probably has a miserable family life, because that's why she's a whore. Okay. Or not a literal prostitute, but some cock hopping, glassy eyed, thousand cock stare bitch, right? I mean, something that, she walks around and STDs are like a toxic cloud around her. I mean, that's how much cock she's gotten, right? That chick will never talk about her family, because the family's the source of all her problems and misery and her cock hopping and all the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, if she talks positively about her family, oh, you got to keep her. You got a long-term girlfriend. Of course, this all depends on what you want. If you want a long-term girlfriend and the girl talks about her family, great. If you want just a one-night stand and she talks about her family, it's not going to work out. She's not going to want to fuck you that first date. No, of course not. Because if she talks positively about her family raised her right. She knows that they're not going to put up with her being a fucking whore. See? And that's the truth. So those are good signs. Bad signs, warning signs. She has hidden tattoos. Okay. Tattoos that aren't visible. Maybe you met her online and you saw a bunch of pictures of her, maybe a couple like in her bikini and shit, and she seemed fine, right? But then you're talking to you and you casually in the conversation say say, "Oh, I don't have any tattoos. Do you have any tattoos?" And by the way, if you guy, you listening, have a tattoo, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking moron. Get it removed. Okay? Get it removed. I don't give a fuck what it is. See? And you say, "Oh, I tattooed the names of my children on my arm." Are you that fucking stupid that you're going to forget the names of your fucking kids and you had to have them tattooed to your fucking arm? Because, I've got kids. I didn't get their names tattooed. I remember their names. I'm going to remember their names on my fucking deathbed. I don't need a fucking tattoo with their names. That's stupid. Okay? Oh, I was in a war. Yeah, well, shit happens to everybody. Huh? If it was that traumatic and that big of a deal, why do you need to tattoo it? You see my point. I've never understood tattoos. It's stupid. Okay. So if you have a tattoo, get it fucking removed. It's low class. It's pathetic. It's stupid. Okay. Anyway, you're talking and you're saying, "No, I don't have any tattoos." And she says, "Oh, I have some tattoos." Run. Okay. Mm, I did a video on this topic, right? And I said in that video that I originally thought that maybe like a discreet tattoo, a little thing, oh, she was 18 and stupid and that kind of thing. I've come to the conclusion, no. Every time a girl has a tattoo, it's a bad fucking sign because it speaks of lack of impulse control. Yeah, she got into her head that it would be cool to have a tattoo. She went and got the fucking tattoo, and then she regrets it. Like that time that she was dating you, the love of her life, you had great sex, you lived together, it was all wonderful, but then she met Chad and Tyrone and she had a threesome, she lost her head and then she really regrets it, And now she has a white kid and a black kid, neither of which look like you. Yeah, and oh, it was just, oh, me bad. You see my point, and it's a valid point. No fooling around. Compliance tests go both ways. She's putting you through the ringer to see if you are smart, socially adept, make decent money. That's why you're going on a date to an expensive restaurant. That's why you're charming her with your witticism. That's why you're socially adept with the different things that you say, like about cell phones and shit like that. Those are all compliance tests to satisfy her, but you have compliance tests of your own and know what they are. Tattoos, abortions. Yeah, a girl who's had an abortion, ditch her instantly. Don't even think about it twice. Girl who's gotten the vaccine, I ditch her, ditch her. Yeah, I ask her right away. And if she says, "Yeah, I got the vaccine because of this reason," you just say, "Check, please," and you just call it into the date right away, as if she'd gotten an abortion. It's the same fucking thing. Okay. And besides, what'll probably happen with the vaccines and all that, the people who got it, they're going to get into a world of hurt insofar as medical problems into the future. You want to be saddled by that shit? No, ditch her instantly. The second she tells you, "Yeah, I got the vax," that's it. And by the way, don't think, "Oh, she got the vax, but I'll still, fuck her for a one night stand." I am convinced that spike protein shit, it sheds. It sheds. And how do I know it? Because several women that I know, not women that I'm fucking or have any romantic relationship with, but just women I know who are young, they've all said that they've been in contact with people who have been vaccinated and it fucks up their menstrual cycles when they're in contact with men and women. Okay. You know how women, like a convent full of nuns, all their menstrual cycles will sync up. That's proven. It's just a weird thing of women, right? Because they smell each other's hormones or pheromones or whatever the fuck, and they all sync up. I, I don't know why. I don't think evolutionary biologists know why because it's weird. Why would that evolve that way? But anyway, it does. It happens. It's known to happen. It's not like a big secret. Well, there are women who have not been vaccinated, but who work in proximity to people who do, and with men, not women, men. After a while, their menstrual cycles get fucked up, irregular, very heavy, this, that, the other. All kinds of weird problems happen, and they haven't been vaccinated. And those are the exact same symptoms that a lot of women who have been vaccinated experience: irregular cycles, very heavy bleeding, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So The point I'm trying to make is that, see, the vaccine does something horrible to people. We will find out. We are finding it out slowly but surely. It's coming out. On Telegram, I talk about this shit a lot. I don't really like talking about it on YouTube and Patreon because it causes all kinds of problems. But I'm telling you, anybody who's got a vaccine, who's been vaccinated, a woman, stay away from her. She's going to have health problems and you don't want to deal with that shit. No, come on. It's not your fucking responsibility. So if she's gotten an abortion, if she's got a tattoo, if she's gotten the vax, right? If she says, like I said in the video that's got me into all kinds of trouble, never date a girl who's claims to be the victim of sexual assault, right? Any girl like that, you just instantly, the second you hear it, you just raise your hand, check please, and you just tell her, it's been lovely meeting you, but this issue is a deal breaker for me. A girl who's got an abortion, I'm just not down for that. And it doesn't even matter that you are pro-choice. See, it doesn't matter. It's not that issue. The issue is that a woman who's willing to have an abortion is just fucked up, and just damaged goods, not worth it. Move on, okay? And don't feel bad. There are a lot of guys who bizarrely take on the responsibility of some fucked up girl that they barely know, and they put up with her shit. I don't understand that. That's just fucking weird. See? I mean, I meet some guy, or like I see some homeless guy on the street. I feel bad for the son of a bitch. Yeah, I'll slip him a couple of bucks, right? Sure, why not? I mean, ease his pain. Let him go and buy some heroin to shoot up so that, he doesn't feel so miserable about his life, because I'm under no illusions. That's what the homeless guy is going to do. He's going to go and shoot up, take my cash and buy a hit of crack or heroin or whatever the fuck the guy's on, right? And it'll ease his pain and, yeah. But am I going to shoulder the burden of his existence? No, that'd be fucking insane, right? Then why the fuck are you going to shoulder the burden of some fucked up chick that you went on a date with? Come on. So anyway, bad signs. She nags. Oh yeah. There are girls that on the first fucking date nag you, or so like have these snide little comments. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, chat. Just to make sure that you guys are up to speed. You know what I'm talking about when they have these snide little nasty little comments. You know what I'm saying? Hit me with a +1 if you know, and hit 0 if you have no clue what I'm talking about. Anyway, these chicks who are like that have these snide little nasty comments that nag, or the precursor to nagging. No, check please right away. Then there is, oh yeah, bad or non-existent relationship with her father. Okay, yeah, or a father figure. I mean, there's the rare, exceedingly rare situation where the father, died young, and the grandfather, or the father's brother or the mother's brother stepped in and acted like a father figure, which is tragic and very heartwarming in many ways. That a strong enough family to step up. But other than that, very rare exception, and that's infinitesimally small. Okay, girl who has a bad or non-existent relationship with her father, she's fucked up. Simple as that. Nope. Okay. She uses excessive bad language. Yeah. I've noticed that girls who say fuck, shit, and talk like sailors, they're fucked up. They're fucked up, and you're like, nah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like for instance, my grandmother. Uh, well, both of my grandmothers were big society ladies. Actually, I was going to say that she was a big society lady, but both of them were. But my grandmother Sylvia, my mother's mother, she had no problem using profanity, but very carefully, like when it was really appropriate. Okay, she was she's a society lady. Doyen, that whole shit, right? With big social parties and crap like that. 300 guests and all that crap. And I remember, at her house, right, at her apartment, watching TV and watching the news, and she was like staring at it and hearing some politician, and she said in the equivalent of Spanish, she said, "He is talking bullshit. Why is he lying to me?" Stuff like that, and it was like completely appropriate for her to say the word bullshit in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's not the issue. And also, by the way, I've noticed that women who are true ladies can actually say vulgarities, can get away with them because they know when to use the vulgarity. See? It's a feeling thing. It's a vibe thing. It's like in Spanish the word is ubicación, which literally means to know your location. Society women, high class women, aristocratic women, they know when to use a vulgarity appropriately. A girl who's using vulgarities like all the time in her common speech, they're low class. Okay. And those women who never use any vulgarity they're basically socially insecure. Okay. That's what's going on there. Okay. And so you gotta understand what's going on. Excessive bad language, she's low class or she's fucked up. It doesn't matter. She's just like, no. And oh, the other thing, you're making out with her. Maybe the first date, maybe second, third, or fourth date, right? But early. No, let me phrase it. You're on the first date. You've just kissed her, mm, and you start like sliding your hands around her body a little bit because she's still responding and kissing you, right? And she doesn't shy away from you touching her ass, touching her tits, touching her crotch. You know, a move that a lot of guys make, myself included. You like sort of like let your right hand drift down and the back of your hand pushing against her crotch. Mm. Yeah, some girls get real turned on by that. A lot of girls are like, whoa, 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 Nelly. And it's, again, a compliance test. I personally do it as a compliance test. A girl who does not shy away from the back of my hand rubbing up against her crotch, against her panties or pantyhose or whatever that she's wearing, she's a whore. Simple as that. She's a whore and she's not, yeah. Because a girl, a decent girl, a girl with scruples, a girl with a low body count, call her what you will. You start like feeling up her ass and she's going to be like, hey, whoa, 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 right? You feel up her ass and she gives no response. And then you let your hand drift up and feel up her tit while you're kissing her. And she's all into it. And then you let your hand drift down and push it against her crotch. And she's like, maybe even a little bit grinding it against the back of your hand. She's a whore. If this is on the first date or the second date, even, yeah, she's a whore. Simple as that. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, she'll be great for a one night stand. You'll fuck her brains out. She's probably got a body count, in the triple digits, or who knows, or the high double digits at least. She's a whore. And there's nothing wrong with fucking a whore. But as long as you have a condom on, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. She's a whore and she's just not somebody long term. And sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want some girl that you can just fuck, you know, a few times, have a few laughs here and there, and then just catch and release. It's perfectly fine. But like I said at the beginning, you got to know what you want. Okay, you got to know what you want at that time in your life, insofar as a woman is concerned. You got to know what you want out of the date you're on. You got to know what you want out of the girl you're with. And in this first date, what is the objective? To figure out what kind of girl she is. And everything that I have been saying up to this point is to help you figure out what kind of girl she is. Okay? It's not what she says, it's what she does. And that kissing and the reaction to it just before you part ways is really fucking important, because you will know the difference between a girl who's really into you and really wants to fuck you, but at the same time is a decent girl and is not like, she doesn't want to go all the way right then and there in the fucking parking lot because she's a decent person, right? There's that possibility. Or there's the girl that's just a fucking whore, slut. Or there's the possibility the girl is just not into you. The whole point of this date is to figure out who she is and where you and she stand in relationship to your objectives. And at the same time, figuring out what her objectives are, even if she herself has not articulated them or even realized what those objectives are. Okay. That's the whole point of the first date. Okay. Yeah. And holy shit, it's 8:30 my time. That's 2.5 hours of this shit. But oh, what the fuck? Okay. So between dates, you make an open-ended suggestions. Let her fix the day and time. See, you're dating a lot of other girls, okay? Like I said, between 3 and 6 girls. That's what I said last week, right? Minimum three. See, she's one of these three, right? So you're going to have your hands full with the other two, right? I mean, assuming that you're keeping these balls in the air, right? So you tell her, I want to see you again, and you make that open-ended suggestion. Let her figure it out. the day and the time. If it interferes with something else you got going, with like one of the other women you're seeing or your work schedule, no matter how much you like her, tell her, no, I can't make it because of work. And it's always work. Okay. And make it clear that the work that she's always going to be second to the work. Okay. Women like that. Yeah. They like it. Mm, They don't want a guy that she's their number one priority. They say that they do. And sometimes they'll throw a tantrum and say, "Hey, how come I'm not your priority? How come work is the priority?" And you're like, "Well, that's life, baby. You know, believe me. Always have work ahead of her, no matter how much she objects or claims to object. Secretly, they respect a guy who cares more about the work than pleasing her. Again, it's a compliance test. Okay. Okay. But, let her fix it, fix the date, because there are two possibilities. She really wants to see you, or she really does not want to see you. If she does not want to see you, it's never going to happen. So don't worry about it. If she really wants to see you, it's going to happen real soon. So don't worry about it. Either way, don't worry about it. Okay. Whatever happens, either it'll happen or it won't. Be zen about it. Okay. Um, but if she says, let's meet, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, say, oh no, I got work, I got squash, I got shit, man. I got to invade Russia tomorrow. Too busy. No, let's do it 3, 4 days from now. Always put 3, 4 days. Scarcity, scarcity brings value. Why is gold so valuable? Because it's fucking scarce. There isn't a hell of a lot of gold and it's real pretty. See, you hold gold in your hand. You ever done that? Like a Krugerrand? I once held like a whole box of Krugerrands. You know, I mean, it must have been like, I have no idea how many coins. I mean, over 100 or 200 or 300. I don't know. It was just like tons, right? Not tons, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it weighs surprisingly. Gold weighs, well. It's a dense metal, so it weighs a surprisingly heavy thing in your hand, holding like a bunch of coins, like a roll of them. They're like little weights in your hand. I remember, and it feels different, and it looks shiny, not like in the movies. It's more powerful because in the movies, the gold that you see in the movies, that's not real gold. Okay, when you see actual gold, there's something about it. It just feels different. And yeah, gold is scarce, and that's why everybody values it. You are scarce. That's why you're valued. Okay. Okay. Um, if she says, let's see each other tomorrow, oh man, yeah, she wants you. Okay. Or see each other in 2 days or some shit like that. She wants you. So that's good. After the first date, never initiate contact. Make her come to you and resist this urge. Okay. If you have the urge to call her, contact her, whatever, ignore it. Just let her come to you. Because you see, if she doesn't, if she needs prodding from you, she's not into you. Simple as that. She's into you, you're not going to need to prod her. She'll just contact you out of the blue because her desire for you will overwhelm any resistance, you know? And she'll explain it away to herself. It's no big deal. It's like this, or maybe he lost my contact information. Maybe something happened to his phone. Maybe I'll just send him a little text. See my point? See? And you got to keep in mind, nothing you say over text will change whether she is attracted to you or not. Therefore, it's pointless for you to be sending her texts and messages and shit trying to get her attention. Even memes and shit like that. It's pointless. She has already made up her mind because of the in-person experience. Okay? And so one way or the other, if she's into you, she will crawl across glass and kill her mother and grandmother if she's really into you in order to contact you, right? If she's into you, nothing will stop her. If she's not into you, nothing you say in a text will change your mind. Okay? So wait for her. And as you're waiting, you're actually not waiting because you're not paying attention, because you're paying attention to the other girls that you're seeing. See? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, if she does text you, well, when she does text you, brief messages. The briefer, the better. It's okay to say like lol or something like that. You don't have to be like this stoic guy. You can laugh at some joke that she says, but don't expand on it. She says some funny thing or some emojis, you just write lol. and just forget it. Okay? The shorter, the better. Oh, what do you want to do? I was thinking that next week we could go this and do that and do the other and go here and there. And you say, okay. Even if you don't want to do any of this shit that she says, don't worry about it. See, when the time comes, you can say, oh, I don't really want to do any of this shit. I want to do something completely different. She'll be like, okay, let's do what you want. Because if she's into you, doesn't matter. Okay. Understand. Understand. Okay. Yeah. So between dates, don't bother responding. Date other women. This is the fatal flaw for most men. You are a guy, you meet some girl, you really like her, you go on a great date, you kiss her, you have lots in common. She's so cute, she's so funny, she laughs at all your witticisms. You've made a really good impression, and you sort of like stop paying attention to the other girls in your life because you've got this one girl in your sights. This is normal. And from here comes oneitis. You start obsessing about this one girl, and she dominates your attention. It comes from the fact that when men went out to hunt for the woolly mammoth, they couldn't allow their attention to be dispersed. They had to focus on the one animal that they were going to kill. Because if they hunted here, hunted there, they'd wind up with nothing. Okay? It's the reason that human beings have the sunk cost fallacy, because we keep throwing good money after bad. Because what happened was that our ancestors, via evolution, discovered that if they tried to chase different animals, they expend all their energy and accomplish nothing. It was much better to focus on the one animal of the herd that had been split off from the herd, and chase it and chase it and chase it and keep on putting more and more energy, calories, into chasing this one animal until eventually running it down and killing it and eating it and recovering all those calories. It worked in the savannah, you see? And so we men apply these lessons to chasing women. And so we start thinking, well, there are lots of targets in our environment, but this one girl, it really worked out. So I'll just focus more on this one girl and ignore the others because they're distractions. Mistake, 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 mistake. Date all these girls. Date all of them. Okay. And see, sleep with them, date them, do everything with them. Okay. Until you've met the parents. See, meeting the parents is the Rubicon. Meeting the parents, that's when you decide, okay, am I for real with this girl, or is she just a nice time? I get to fuck her and have a good time. See, meeting the parents. See, and before then, fuck as many girls as you want, and make sure that you do not allow your attention to focus on the one girl, because she will dominate your attention. She will totally control you, and you will be fucked. Trust me on this. This is age-old wisdom. Okay. Okay. Let me move it along, because Jesus Christ, it's 2 hours 45 minutes so far, and I'm barely onto the second date, and I was supposed to do 5 fucking dates. Holy shit. Anyway, date 2. Abstract objective is to figure out if you are at ease with her. This is very important. People forget that the notion of being at ease with somebody is so crucial. I mean, you've got your friends from college, right? And you'd hang out in the fraternity watching TV together. And you like smoke some pot, watch TV, scratch your balls, have some Fritos or whatever the fuck, right? And you were at ease with the guy. And you'd shoot the shit about whatever. Mhm. I mean, at first you'd met this guy and you didn't really know him, and you talked a little bit, and you played some sport, and you played some other sport, but you didn't really interact very much, right? And you're both in the fraternity, right? And you're like, oh, I don't know about this guy. But then you had this opportunity of like watching some TV show or some marathon of whatever the fuck, or Netflix 20 episodes of whatever the fuck, right? Or some, college bowl game or something, right? And you spend like a few hours with the son of a bitch. And you're like, man, this is a cool dude. We just hung out, had a good time. Exactly. That's what's going on with the chick. The first date, you're both excited. The second date, you got to figure out if you're at ease with her, if you like her company. That's the whole point. Okay. The concrete objective is you want to kiss her, touch her body, possibly have sex with her. That's the goal. Because in the first one, unless you're specifically looking for a one night stand, of course, the whole goal was just to kiss her and to try out those compliance tests as to whether she's a whore or she's like a nice girl. Okay. And by the way, I keep saying these extremes, like she's a whore, she's a nice girl, but reality tends to be like that. You'll find it's not like a normal distribution curve. No, no, no. It tends to be sort of like a U curve. See, there are like nice girls and whores, you know, or sluts, or not literal prostitutes, but rather women who like to fuck around, who like a lot of dick. But it seems to be like a reverse normal distribution curve, like a U curve. You know what I'm saying? That's been my experience as of late. Anyway, you want to kiss her, touch her body, and all the rest. Now, the date itself, you want to go to some place like a museum or an art gallery where you can walk around, chat, see interesting stuff, a light meal, and and maybe get that light meal at some dive. Okay. Um, you want to dress down but expensive, like the Armani T-shirt I mentioned. See, um, I don't have that fucking T-shirt anymore. This was years ago. But one of the things I do sometimes is I'll go in a T-shirt and jeans and sneakers and my very expensive cashmere overcoat. The cashmere overcoat cost me $3,500. Actually, no, actually more. Well, or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's incredibly expensive. Okay, and it's obviously cashmere. I mean, you look at a mile away, and you're like, yeah, that's the expensive shit. Okay, it's like Peruvian cashmere, all kinds of shit. They handmade it for me in Chile. And anyway, the point. Um, it's an overcoat that I can wear over a suit, right? And sometimes, it's cold and it's a long overcoat. Yeah, just t-shirt and jeans because when I'm indoors, it's heated, so I'm in t-shirt and jeans. I go outside, it's fucking freezing, fucking Ukraine. Yeah, I'll throw on that very expensive cashmere coat, right? Collar up. I look like $1,000,000. I've seen my reflection sometimes. Holy shit, that fucker looked good. Oh, it's me. Even with the fucking beard, I look fucking good. But the point is that, see, there is a way to dress down but expensive, and women pick up on it. Oh God, do they pick up on it? You know how I know? Because when I go, a lot of times when I go out in that outfit, when I'm going out is to the local what you call it, delicatessen store called Le Silpo. Le Le, like the French, Silpo, Silpo. I have no idea what the fuck it is, but it's just down the street from my apartment. And I'll go there, and it's like an expensive deli, and the rich people go there, right, in Ukraine, here in Kharkov. And what happens is that the women notice me. I can see them checking me out. You know, they're like, "Whoa, he's like dressed like shit, but damn, that's an expensive coat." And they know. Guys don't. Guys have no fucking idea, right? Because guys don't pay attention to that shit, but women do. The society women, they notice. Okay, all women notice. Okay, you dress down but expensive, right? If you kissed her in the past at the end of the last date, you kissed her and it was all passion, shit like that. When you greet her on the second date, you do the exact same thing. I mean, why would you waste time covering ground that you already won? That happens a lot, by the way. It happened to me. It used to happen to me that I would sort of like be tentative the second time. Like the first time I'd gotten away with it, but now the second time, maybe she won't let me do it. No, 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 no. Be self confident. If she let you kiss her and grab her ass but not touch her tit, start right there. Go up to her, kiss her firmly on the lips, a hand like nicely massaging one of her ass cheeks, right? Maybe trying to squeeze her tit, and she's like, no, 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 don't come down. We're out in public, right? Then you start right back from where you left off. That's what you want to do. That's where you want to be. You start where you left off the last time, always. Okay. Um, and always up the physical intimacy. That's the point of it. You want to keep on increasing the physical intimacy. You go now. The reason I mentioned a museum, an art gallery, something like that, it's casual, it's intellectual. She feels smart. All girls feel smart when they go to a museum. Okay, no matter how stupid they actually might be. And for the most part, most women are close to the standard deviation. I mean, close to the norm. 100 IQ points. There's a greater male variability hypothesis. I suggest you look it up. Men tend to be more at the extremes. There are more morons and geniuses among men than among women. Women tend to cluster around the average. Okay. But they all feel smart when they go to a museum or an art gallery. And if you can halfway talk about art and shit, you're golden. You know, you want this date to be relaxed. You want to feel at ease with her. That's the whole point of it. Okay. Now, the third date, okay, this one's very important. It's surprisingly important. Okay. You've been saying, uh, um, see, in the second date, you are seeing if you are both at ease with one another, right? You want to hang on a second. Let me just by the way, hit me with a +1 if audio is okay. Just wanna check. Oh, wait, what happened? Oh man, I lost. How long have you guys not been seeing the screen? Okay, let me see. Or is this recent or what? What the fuck happened with this shit? Sorry, I'm talking about the StreamYards thing. Okay, +1, +1. Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, here's the thing once again. Let me continue. Okay, so the second date is just to establish that you are at ease with one another. It is if you were thinking the way to think about it is that you are a plane in a holding pattern. Of course you want to fuck her. And if you get the chance to fuck her on the second date, great. You probably won't. Because see, if a girl wants to fuck you, she fucked you on the first date. She's a slut. It's nothing wrong with that. You can enjoy her, catch and release. Enjoy her for a few weeks and then chuck her overboard, right? Get some pictures while you're at it, though. Okay. So anyway, if it's the second date and she didn't fuck you on the first date, it's unlikely you'll fuck on the second date. Okay. The second date is to see how at ease you are with one another. And so to be in a low stress environment, no loud music, very relaxing, very soothing, going at your own pace. You go to the movies, for instance. Maybe it's a good movie or a lousy movie, but you're not interacting. You're watching the fucking movie, right? You go to a club, loud music. She's not going to be focused on you. It's the sensory overload will prevent her from focusing on you. So on the second date, you want to go to someplace easygoing, low stress, low sensory excitement. Because you go to a museum and it's beautiful, and you go to some museum with like good pieces, a good collection, right? And you're going to see remarkable artwork, I'm sure. But it's discreet. You see it, and then there's a lot of white space before you see the next painting. And is it loud? No, it's a fucking museum. It's quiet, very quiet, like a library. And the people there, how do they talk? In whispers, very quietly. Mhm. Very soothing, very relaxing. And to a woman, an art gallery or a museum is better because art galleries are relatively small. I mean, a museum is enormous, right? In a museum, she's going to feel very, very safe because you're in a museum. There are security guards everywhere. There are cameras everywhere. It's going to be very relaxing, very romantic. See? I think that museums are among the best places to go on even a first date, but a second date in particular, because the objective of the second date is to feel at ease with one another, to feel relaxed. A museum date is definitely in the first 3 dates, first 4 dates. No, it's right up there, and like I said, for a first date, maybe it's not the best place because you're walking around, you can't do the thigh move like I explained, you can't because when you do the thigh move of the first date, that's an expression of a desire for physical intimacy. It's unmistakably that, okay? And that you want to land that as early as possible. But on the second date, calm, soothing, give the sensation that to her that you are sophisticated, that you've been around, you enjoy museums, that you have that culture and all that good shit. And it also, if you're relaxed and you go to this museum and you're looking at the different pieces, she feels, oh, he's in control. And it feels very soothing and safe. And she starts to um, identify the safety and security that the museum provides with the safety and security that you provide, which is what you want. You see? You see why it's important? Okay. Okay. So um, you go on this very easygoing date, you know. Um, a museum is a great place because a lot of times you can have the museums have very good cafeterias, sometimes very expensive cafeterias, surprisingly, but they have very good food. Lots of them. You can eat there, and just it's just terrific. So what you should do is go to the cafeteria of the museum. I remember the Victoria and Albert Museum had a cafeteria that was really a very, very good restaurant. I mean, it was just a good restaurant, good food, just great service. It was. Did it have service? I don't remember if it did or not, but I remember it had. I was surprised at how good the food was. Anyway, the point. mm, You eat there, or you go to some dive nearby. Okay, like one of the things I used to do when I was living in Manhattan was that I would take girls down to the Soho art galleries in the middle of the day when there'd be nobody around, but they'd be all open, and we'd go from one gallery to the next and just eat a hot dog on a cart and just sit there, wherever, eating hot dogs. Very romantic. Yeah, because it's cute. Okay, especially after you've taken a girl to a very expensive restaurant, and then you take her to, gallery hopping and a hot dog in Lower Manhattan. Dude, you're golden. You see? I mean, that's how it works. So that's the second date. Now the third date, it's very specific what you're targeting, and it's to get her used to taking directions and orders from you. Okay. Now, a lot of guys, like I said before, say that you have to develop a lot of hobbies so you can talk to girls about your hobbies. Girls don't give a fuck about your hobby, not you talking about the hobby. If you talk about the hobby, it's going to bore them to tears. A bored girl is not going to want to have another date with you or fuck you. Okay? Simple as that. This is fucking, cause and effect, man. This is fucking Newtonian physics. Okay? You talk about some boring ass hobby, she is not going to want to fuck you. But if you take her to your hobby, that's all kinds of different. Okay? Never talk about the hobby. Never try to impress her with the hobby, because you're not going to impress her. Because what impresses a girl is emotions. She wants to feel emotions. Okay? So what you do, like suppose you're into shooting guns at the gun range, or you're into golf. Okay? Or you're into, like, for instance, me, I like woodworking. Okay, I'm not very good at it. My shit is slapdash and stuff like that. Not like really nice and fine, but whatever the fucking thing is, right? You take her to do it. See? Now, like, the gun range is perfect because guns are sexy. They're scary. They're sexy, like guns and shit, right? You take her to the gun range, and what you do is you take a few guns with you and have her shoot some rounds. Of course, you make sure that the guns are not going to throw her on her ass, and make a big mess, right? Something reasonable that she can handle. A beginner gun, it doesn't really matter. She's not going to fucking know, right? Whatever. I mean, you take her with a little pea shooter 22, and if she's never shot a gun before in her life, it's going to impress the fuck out of her, right? You take her to the gun range, and you do the whole thing. You take her to the gun range, you get her checked out, you get her with the phones. I mean, the ear protectors and all that shit. You take her down and you start off firing rounds, right? And of course, what you do is that you hold her, from behind, hold her hands, hold her wrists, right, in the proper position, and then you let her go, and then you start ordering her, telling her, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. You see what I'm saying? The golf course, the same thing. You set her up at the tee, right, with the ball, and your whatever, one of your wooden clubs, right? Um, and I haven't played golf. I hated golf, by the way. I don't play it. I played it like 3 times, and I know that the first three are like the wood-headed golf clubs, and the rest are the irons and shit like that. I fucking hated that fucking sport, but maybe you like it. And you take the girl to the fucking golf course, and you set her up, and you make her stand, and of course you tell her, move your legs this way, move your legs that way, move your feet a little bit back, straighten up, you know, uh, head up, facing the ball, and square up your shoulders. You direct her physically, you direct her body, get her to comply with your orders as to how to arrange her body. That's the point of the third date. That's why you take her to the hobby, whatsoever that hobby may be, and you order her. You get her used to having her change her body to your desires. It's a very subtle thing. And she'll know what's going on, even if she can't articulate it, even if it doesn't really kind of like enter her conscious mind, she'll know. She'll know that you are controlling her body. Okay. Since women are visceral creatures, that is, creatures of their emotions, and the bodies are intimately tied to their emotions, of course, because what are emotions? They're bodily reactions to stimuli. That's what they are. Okay. And her body is responding to your words, your orders. You are telling her, do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. And in certain cases, insofar as like a gun is concerned, and that's why gun ranges are like the best for this. See, she follows your orders rather, and then there's a loud bang, and she'll get the shock of the gun going off in her hand, and it'll turn her on. I've never known a girl who you take to a gun range and doesn't wind up wet between the legs. I mean, sopping wet. Okay. I once noticed one girl. This is a true fucking story, and you're not gonna fucking believe it, but she was wearing like a sweatshirt because I said it was gonna be casual, that kind of thing. She tied the sweatshirt around her waist, but like the front, when you tie it around your waist and you let the flap behind you, but she tied it like an apron in front of her. She had like jeans on, but she must have been so insecure about how wet she was. That's a true fucking story. It was funny as fuck, you know? Of course, I didn't laugh. I didn't say a fucking thing, but I knew, because nobody wears a fucking, what you call it, sweatshirt like an apron, you know? They wear it like a cape around their waist, right? Yeah. So, anyway, you are directing her to do what you want, and that's going to turn her on. And a gun range is great for that. But see, in this situation, you are the master and she's the student. So you're going to be giving her directions and giving her orders, but make sure she will not be frustrated because of the learning curve. See, taking a girl to the gun range is fucking great because what the fuck you need to do? Just stand properly, brace your arms, and fire. It's not that fucking complicated, right? A couple of times I've taken girls snowboarding, and oh god, this was the worst. I did like 3 fucking times to play squash. I love playing squash. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy it very much. It's a great exercise, blah blah. And I enjoy it. And I want the people in my life to play squash because I think it's very healthy for them and I enjoy it. And if they enjoy it and I enjoy it, we can play together and it's all great, right? 3 times I've taken some girl who never played squash before in her life, and they were athletic, by the way, to play squash. But the problem is that squash, see, and I have forgotten this, squash has a very difficult learning curve. See, the little black ball that you're hitting, right? See, when you hit it at first, it doesn't travel very much. Okay, it's not like a racquetball ball. A racquetball ball will like bounce like 70%. If you drop it from a meter high, it'll bounce to 70 centimeters on the first bounce and probably 60 on the second. I mean, it bounces quite a bit, right? Tennis ball, not so much, but quite a bit still. You drop a squash ball from a meter, and if it's cold, especially if the ball is cold, you drop it from a meter and it'll bounce maybe 5 centimeters. That's 5%. I mean, nothing. Okay. If it's really, really hot, I mean, you've been playing at it, for a few points, right? And it's like burning hot in your hand. You drop it from a meter and maybe it'll go to 15 centimeters. Maybe. Okay. That's why squash is such an intense sport because you have to really run around because the fucking ball doesn't bounce. It barely bounces. And so you have to really reach for it. Okay. And so newbies who play squash, they're invariably frustrated. It's just so fucking frustrating because the fucking ball doesn't bounce. You got to run after it. And of course, you're a newbie, so you have no technique. So you hit it improperly. So the ball just doesn't do fucking shit. It's so frustrating. And I hadn't realized this. And 3 fucking times have I taken girls to play squash. They fucking hated it. It was just really frustrating. They were just really unhappy. Okay. And the other time I did the same was I took a girl, we went to some Ritz skiing, and I suggested, let's try snowboarding. And the thing is, see, I'd been snowboarding for a year, excuse me, for a week rather, a week at that point, because I'd gone to Zermatt and got there by myself to learn to snowboard. And then I went to Summeritz and hooked up with this girl, a girl named Sejana. This was way back in like 2001 or 2002, something like that. And we hooked up, and I said, I'm taking excuse me, snowboarding lessons. And she'd never done snowboarding. She knew how to ski, but not snowboard. And so we said, okay, well, why don't, I take snowboard lessons too, she said, and I'll teach you. And so, long story short, it was miserable. She fell all the time. It was just a fucking just disaster. She hated it. It was like a big balls up. The whole thing went tits up. I mean, we had some pretty good sex though, but it was just a bad thing. It was a bad scene. Don't take her to do things that are frustrating to her. You see, like I hate golf because I find it extremely frustrating and just unnerving. It's just something It's a sport that I do not like. Temperamentally, I'm just opposed to it. Um, but some people like it. You got to know the person real well if you take them to play golf. But some activities, like shooting a gun, guaranteed because it's easy. Okay. Or like, for instance, the kind of woodwork that I do, it's slapdash and I'm just fucking around. I don't really care. So yeah, coming over, hammering some shit together, gluing some pieces together, then I'm building whatever the fuck. Yeah, that's all good and fine. Okay. But if it's like complicated or it has like a steep, a difficult learning curve, you got to watch out. Make it fun. But again, something that you're the master at. Okay. You are the master and she is just the student and she follows your directions. Okay. Now, here's something else. In the third date, you take her to some place like the gun range, okay, or the golf course, doesn't matter. Make sure you interact with other people, especially other men who have a high regard for you. You want her to see you with men who think highly of you because evolution and the tribe and chasing the woolly mammoth, her hind brain will perk up. If other men look at you with respect and joke with you and all the rest of it, but you always know the difference between those guys who are joking with you because they're assholes and joking with you because they really appreciate you, and they might even mock you, but it's in a way that is not belittling. On the contrary, sometimes they mock you for the things that you're best at, right? And yeah, it's a lovely feeling when you're hanging out with some guys and they're like, you know um you are they are clearly showing their respect towards you in front of some woman. Oh man, you're all kinds of golden. Okay. And also what happens too is that when guys see you with an attractive woman in a place where ordinarily you do not bring a woman, like the gun range or whatever the fuck, the guys are going to be like, whoa, whoa, this guy is something. And automatically their respect for you will rise the more attractive the woman is. I've seen this for myself many times, you know, because I'm not the typical guy who can get the girl because I couldn't get the girl. So I figured out how to get the girl. And because of that, I get hot women. And because I get hot women, when I show them off, the guys who know me are like, what the fuck? And it's pretty amusing. And it has a reaction on them. And their reaction has a reaction on her. And it increases my value in her eyes, inevitably. Okay. Do not, and this happens so many fucking times, do not introduce her to your loser stoner friends, the loser friends, or the guys that you know who are fucking dickhead assholes. Do not introduce her to those people. Do not introduce them to that guy. And we all have that guy that makes us laugh. We have a really good fucking time, but he's a fucking moron and a fucking loser. That guy, don't introduce her to him, okay? Or him to her. Do not. Only high quality guys. Because those high quality guys, they become she instantly infers that you are like those high quality guys, especially if you interact successfully with them and they show you respect. See? Very important. And the best is an older established man or group of men. Okay. Um, I'll tell you a story. One time I was at some business get together, right? And I was talking to some other business guy, and some older gentleman who was friends with my grandfather showed up and started talking to me and like, how's it been? And blah, blah. And, we had a little chat. And this older gentleman was actually a former finance minister in Chile. He was like a big deal, a guy called Carlos Cáceres. And he had been very good friends with my grandfather. My grandfather died. But he knew who I was and recognized me and came up and talked to me. And I was talking with some other business people. And these other business people automatically looked at me like I was like a big fucking wheel. I was a big, much bigger wheel than they had, you know, very big wheel. See? And the same reaction happens with women, the exact same reaction, because it's the same fucking process. Okay? Understand, when an established guy shows respect towards you, an established older guy, in front of a woman or in front of other business people, you accrue a lot of standing. It's like a big deal. It's inevitable. Okay? Okay. So, date number 4, and let me just move it along because Jesus Christ, it's 3 hours and 15 minutes, man. I can't believe it. But I thought I'd get through this in like 90 minutes, man. What the fuck? What? It's not my fucking fault that I talk so fucking much. Anyway, date number 4. The abstract objective is to determine if this is the beginning of a long-term relationship or if it will have a definitive end. Okay? Uh, Notice, is this a possible long-term open-ended relationship that could potentially lead to marriage? Or do you see how this will end? See? Because like for instance, a girl that is just good to fuck, you know the ending. It's 2, 3, 5 weeks tops. If she's a good lay and that's it, nah, you'll have a good time, fuck her a few times and then ditch her, right? If she's a quality girl, mhm, you're not really going to know if it's going to last a year or for the rest of your life. Because of course not, because you can't predict the future. It could be that there are certain issues that make it impossible for you to go the distance, that is, till the end of your days, right? Or it could be that she's the one. You don't know, but she's in that gamut. That gamut, like, say, see, you don't see where it ends. That's the point. See? In this date, the 4th date, you are going to determine when will this relationship end and why. Okay? It's always important. Okay, so that's what you have in mind when you go on the date. Okay, this is your abstract objective. This is the thing that you want to do. The concrete objective is you want to figure out her flaws. Okay, and you also want to have sex with her if you haven't already. Okay, now if you haven't had sex with her by the 4th date, and certainly by the 5th, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Well, you got to start like laying down the law. You got to start saying, hey, honey, it's been great dating you, but I want to go to the next level, if you will. Okay, don't be crass, don't be an asshole, but push her. Don't be afraid to push her. Okay. Now there are two possibilities. She is a virgin. If she's a virgin, she's going to tell you, look, I'm a virgin. I'm not going to go to bed with you. Period, because I've made up my mind. I'm 23 or 25, and it happens. I am 23, 25 years old, and I have made up my mind that I am not going to have sex until I am married, period. And it's not that I fucked around when I was 18, 19. There are girls who do this, by the way. They fuck around like fucking rabbits between the ages of like 14 and 19. And then all of a sudden, this, oh, now I'm a virgin and I'm not going to have sex until I get married. They're fucking whores. Okay. And they will have sex before they get married. And they're probably having sex behind the backs of these poor chumps who are waiting around for them. It happens all the time. See, anyway, insofar as the 4th date, yeah, the concrete objective is to figure out her flaws and to have sex with her if you haven't already. If you have not had sex with her by the 4th date and she is not a virgin, gently but not arrogantly tell her that you want sex. If she says next time and you set up a concrete plan to fuck, then you're good. If she gives you excuses, stop calling her and find somebody else. If by the 4th time she doesn't want to fuck, then move on. It's no point. Okay. Like, see, I've dated some girls who were virgins. Okay. Uh, oh yeah, there was that. Oh yeah, there was that German descent girl. She was from the German community, and she knew or she didn't know, but her parents knew my family, the German side of my family back in Chile, right? And the whole German community, and they all plugged in, right? And German Catholic. And anyway, she was a virgin, right? And I was dating her, and she was like 19, and I was like 33. And yeah, she was virgin, and she was going to stay firmly virgin until she got married because she'd been raised right. Her father was there. I met her parents; they were great people. And yeah, it wasn't going to happen, you know. And no problem. We dated for a while, all kinds of kissing and feeling each other up, but no sex. I mean, she was surprisingly, or not surprisingly, she was a very decent person. It didn't work out for various reasons. That's not the point here. A virgin is gonna hold on to it, and she's for real. A pseudo virgin, you want to get the fuck away from her. Okay, if she says she'll tell you, by the way, that she used to have sex, but now she feels that she's a virgin again. Run. That woman is not a virgin. That woman is, like I said, she's going through the motions and pretending that she's virtuous, but she's probably behind the simp of a boyfriend's back. She's getting fucked by Tyrone and Chad, and probably both at the same time. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, date 5 and thereafter. The abstract objective is to figure out if her flaws, the ones that are ones you are willing to live with. Okay, when you're on the 5th, 6th, 7th date, and all that follow, you got to figure out if those flaws that you see in her, and you'll see them because you're not stupid, are those deal breakers or can you live with them? Because there are some flaws that you can live with. And they're not that big of a deal. Or they're like for instance, you love Star Trek or Star Wars or some shit like that, some pop culture crap. She doesn't give a shit about that. Is that really the reason that you're never going to see somebody ever again? No, that's stupid. If she doesn't give a fuck about that kind of crap, it doesn't matter. Okay. I mean, you do, and you play video games and she doesn't. What, you're not gonna have a relationship because of that? Come on, be real, right? But there are other flaws. Maybe she nags. Maybe after like the 4th or 5th date, maybe after you fuck her, she starts to nag. Or maybe she makes unreasonable demands. Or maybe she's a spendthrift. Or maybe whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. You got to figure out what those flaws are. And you're going to start to see them, and they're going to become real clear by the 5th, 6th, 7th date. Because the thing is, see, people can hide their flaws for a while, but then they eventually always come out. Always. And we all know our flaws. And sometimes we reveal our flaws very early, which I actually think is healthier because it's, truth in advertising kind of thing. But other times we hide our flaws, and when they finally come out, the person is kind of horrified and they're like, I don't want to be with this person. See? And this is the reason I do not date women over the age of 25, 27. Just don't date them. 25, really. Because as they get older and they see their window closing, their window of opportunity to find a mate and the father of their children, they start to lie more and more as to who they are. And women over the age of 30 are lying their asses off as to who they are because will say and do anything to land a husband who will father their children. A guy who's got some money, who's got some position. They'll say and do anything. See, a girl under the age of 25, she never will because she's not desperate. A woman over the age of 30, she's desperate. So she will lie about who she is. And once you marry such a woman, then it's Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde. And you wake up with Miss Hyde, and Miss Hyde is fucking horrifying. And she's been lying to you this whole time as to who she actually is. That's why boys and girls, or boys, never date a girl over the age of 25. Never. Okay? Because it's just easier. Because she'll tell you who she is. You will know who she is. Okay? And it's better to know upfront what her flaws are than to be married to somebody and then discover them. That's why I never, ever, 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 ever date, let alone marry a woman over the age of 30. Never. No exceptions, period. I'm telling you. Okay. So that said, in the fifth date and subsequent dates, you're trying to figure out if those flaws that you see and the one and the further that you will discover, and they'll come out naturally, are ones that you can live with or not. Okay. Now, the concrete objective is to probe her flaws a little more carefully and see if you can live with them or they are deal breakers, and to have sex with her if you have not already. Now, the fifth date, the date itself, make it a weekend getaway to some city or maybe a staycation in a fancy hotel in town. This is a great way to go. Okay. See, um, maybe, COVID restrictions, this, that, the other, or just maybe you don't have the time or whatever the fuck. See, you can't travel. Well, find a five-star hotel and book a suite from Friday night to, Sunday, and see if they can give you a late checkout. So you get to enjoy the whole of Sunday, right? Or fuck it, splurge, right? And maybe it's like, I don't know, it's like a junior suite, it's like $300 a night. Okay, maybe a suite you go whole hog, for 2 nights, it's going to be $1,000. You know, and remember, always negotiate. I've told you guys, always negotiate. Yeah, and you negotiate, you get the best deal possible, whatnot, and you go and you spend like a weekend. You arrive there, check in as early as possible, like 3 p.m. on Friday. Go to the pool, get a massage, eat a lovely dinner. Fuck. Spend the night together. Then the next morning, fuck some more. Go to the pool, go to the spa, sauna, another massage maybe, or a different kind of massage, whatever the fuck. You have a great time in a hotel. It's it's fantastic. It's like a vacation because of course, it's a lovely place and it's completely isolated from your home environment, from your apartment, her apartment, whatever. It's like a foreign country. Yeah, I'm talking about a good hotel. A good hotel, yeah. So you do that, and that way you don't have the hassle and trouble of flying somewhere. On top of that, if you actually forgot something, you can just pop over to your own place and pick it up and go back to the hotel. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the point. Um, you want to spend like a long weekend with her, okay? So you can get a sense of her, not just the fucking, but like the quotidian day-to-day grind of being with somebody. Even though you're going to be in a hotel, which is sort of like an unreal experience, you're still going to get a sense of who she is on the day-to-day. And later, seventh, eighth, ninth date, maybe you'll, spend a few days at her apartment or she'll spend a few at your apartment, but you'll get a much better sense of her. Okay. But this first one, a staycation at some hotel somewhere, or going off to some nearby city. I mean, you don't want to fly fucking 8 hours, right? That's why I suggest you do it in your own city in like the best hotel. I mean, if you add up the cost of the flight and the hassle and the wear and tear of going to some other city, and add up the cost of just staying in your own city but going to a really, really good hotel, it's probably cheaper to go to the really, really good hotel. Yeah. And you have a lovely time, lovely meal, lovely food, everything fantastic, massage and all the rest of it. And most important, you figure out if her flaws are ones you are willing to live with or not. See? That's the whole point. Huh? Yeah. You want to spend time with her in a normal, everyday, relaxed situation. When you're fucking, it's not normal because you're fucking. But you don't fuck all the time when you're in a relationship, a long-term relationship. What, you fuck maybe 2% of your time, if that. Come on, add up the amount of time actually spent fucking, okay, in any given week. If you're living with a wife or a living girlfriend or some shit like that, at most it'll be, I don't know, 5, 6 hours out of 7 days, right? 5, 6 hours. Okay, make it 7 hours out of 7 days, right? That's what? That's barely 4% of your time fucking. The rest of it, you're interacting or working or whatever the fuck. But interacting is my point. So you really want to know up front what's it like to interact with somebody long term. Okay. That's the point of the fifth date. Mm? And like I said, you're always dating other women, even as you are on the fifth or sixth or seventh date with some girl. Even if you're practically living with her, but not actually living with her, yeah, you're still fucking other girls and you're still going out on dates. And of course, you lie and just lie and say, oh, I got the office, I got this, that, the other. That's it. Yeah, don't have any scruples about it. What, you think that she's not lying as to whether she's seeing other guys? Huh? Are you sure? Nah, look, the whole issue of mating, the whole issue of reproduction, it's a cruel world out there. Okay? Don't have any scruples about it. Don't be like all like, oh, no, no, just be self confident. Be self confident, and that's that. Okay? Okay. Now, having sex with her for the first time, irrespective of which date it happens, the first, the second, third, fourth, fifth, whenever. Okay? Assuming it happens that she's not a virgin. Okay? Whenever sex happens, this is what you do. Number one, talk as little as possible. Okay. I've talked to some girls I fucked, and one of the things that they say apparently is that millennials and Gen Xers talk shitloads. And it's always pleading and questioning and insecure. Jesus fucking Christ, what the fuck is the matter with you kids? Just fuck. Fuck and don't say much. The only thing you have to say is flip over, get on your belly. I want to fuck you from behind. It's not complicated. You just order her around. And by the way, that's the whole point, like I said before, on date number 3. You're teaching her whatever the fuck, and you have to order her around. When you're fucking her, you're ordering her around. She'll be used to it. She'll like it. Women love it. Okay? Every fucking woman. Even the women who claim that they don't, at the moment of when it's actually happening, they're turned on. They don't want to be the one who initiates shit. They don't. It's a very, very rare woman who does. Okay? I mean, exceedingly rare. Maybe they get a lot of attention, because they're dominatrixes and shit like that. But the vast majority of women, no. They are conciliatory. They are compliant. They want to please. And what really satisfies them is when the man knows exactly what he wants to be pleased and the woman responds to it. Okay? It's a fact. Okay? Talk as little as possible to her. And when you talk to her, you say, I want this, I want that. I want. Don't ask, take. This is key. Say, you want something from her sexually, just take it. Okay? Move her body around like it's a waifu pillow. Hmm? I can't believe this waifu pillow shit, by the way. I read up on it. I was like, this meme floating around of guys who have pillows, uh, these giant pillows, and that they hug these pillows at night and sort of like sleep with them, and the pillow, the slipcase of the pillow has like printed on it like some anime waifu. Waifu is like a wife figure. I thought that perverse and insane, but apparently this is a thing. All these poor fucking incels that can't get laid, well, they're reduced to hugging a pillow with a anime printed on the fucking pillow. It's just sad. But anyway, uh, when you're fucking some girl in real life, just move her body around as if it's a waifu pillow. You know, I mean, don't break it. Of course, you don't break it, but you move it around with self confidence and you don't think twice. Well, exactly the same way. Holding a girl's neck gently but firmly and guiding her head where you want it to go is a very powerful emotion for her. Okay, for most women, and you get the picture. Yeah. When you hold the back of a woman's neck, there's that famous picture of this beautiful, busty blonde chick at some sporting event, and she's staring straight ahead, and the guy she's with is talking to her, facing towards her at like 90 degrees, his face to hers, right? And he has his hand on the back of her neck, and she's got this thick blonde hair, but it's tied up so you can see clearly how he's got his hand on the back of her neck. Now that picture must have been taken at like an inopportune time that made him look like a dick and made her look like she's like disgusted by it. Most women who are in that situation where they're sitting somewhere publicly and the guy has his hand on the back of her neck, they like it. They're allowing that on purpose. Because if a woman doesn't want that publicly, especially, she'll just like shrug it off and say, don't do that. Simple as that. There are no women, especially not in contemporary culture, especially not going to some, ball game, football game, or whatever the fuck game it was, or baseball game. It was baseball or football. No way would some girl like that, allow that to happen, you know, against her will. No way. She'd shrug it off. Okay. I that picture that became a meme, it was just an inopportune time. I mean, pictures, how they can be. That, one false moment and gives a completely different view as to the situation, right? Most women, not all, but most women, it turns them on. It turns them on. And when you're kissing a woman passionately, smart thing is to get her used to you holding the back of her neck. You know, it turns them on, it relaxes them. They feel that you are in control. So long as you are firm, palms dry, no talcum powder, but actually dry. You're firm but gentle. Gentleness is a key issue. She has to feel that she can slip out of your grip whenever she wants to. And of course, she'll never want to. If she feels that she's being coerced, she'll get the fuck away from you. See, so you don't make her feel as if it's coercion because it's not. You are giving her a very powerful emotion of control. That sense of control, that you are in control of the situation and that you are not going to allow anything bad to happen to her, that is what's turning her on. It's not force that you apply to her. No, no, no. A lot of foolish men think that. A lot of foolish men apply force. Like I said before, the guy who shakes your hand and tries to break every bone in your hand because he's squeezing so fucking hard. A lot of guys do that, to women in the sense of like being forceful. They don't want force. They want control. They want to feel that the man is in control because then they can relax. Then they don't have to be on their guard because the man is protecting her and he's signaling to her that he has it all under control. You see? Okay. So, never go down on her, at least not on the first few times, but make sure she goes down on you on the very first time. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, and you don't want to come in her mouth on the first few times. But when you do, you want to make sure that she swallows. Absolutely. It's a dominance thing, man. What can I say? And women who are listening to this, it's true. See, a guy who gets a girl to swallow, yeah, he owns her, and girls know it, and they want that, but they want it from the right guy. And if it's from a guy that they're not into or that they're not like really crazy about, they'll spit it out right the fuck there. Yeah. And in fact, if a girl insistently refuses to swallow and insists on spitting it out, you don't have much of a future with her. Mm. It's just a good fuck, but that's it. She's not really into you. A girl who's really into you will want to swallow even when she doesn't like giving head. And that's a truism. See? Why is it? Well, I suspect it's because a woman who's really into you wants to comply with your desires, and she'll think that her swallowing complies and will make you happy. It doesn't matter if it does or not, okay? It's that she's gonna believe that. She's gonna think that. So she might not like it at all. I dated a girl who did not like oral sex at all, and yet she'd give it to me, you know, when she was on her period or when she sensed I was stressed out, and she swallowed. And I asked her one time, and she felt, no, but you feel. She said to me, "You seem like you were really upset or really stressed out, and I just wanted to make it easy for you." Okay, yeah, that's the way women are. That's the way women are, and I have to admit, I was very moved by that. You know, because it was something that really she did not like it. She did not like receiving head, and she did not like giving it. Not at all. She thought it was disgusting when I gave it to her, and so that's why I didn't, because the only reason to give head is, the expectation that the woman's going to enjoy it. If she's not enjoying it, then what the fuck is the point? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of fucking work, right? But her giving me a head, specifically when she felt that I was stressed out and that I needed the release, and she wanted to swallow. I have to admit, I was very, very moved by that. I felt, I understood that it was a kindness, okay? Even though it's a very, X-rated sex thing, but it was not done out of perversion or anything like that. On the contrary, it was done out of care. And that's always a lovely thing. Okay. Even if the act itself is a little bit X rated. But anyway, um, yeah, use a spare condom to finger her asshole and use a little lube is necessary. Do this the first time you fuck her. Okay. You don't like necessarily penetrate her, but make her feel that, yeah, your finger in a condom, to keep it clean, as it were. Yeah, because, you're going to give her anal sex at some point in the future. And make it clear. I mean, she asks, like, well, I don't like that or whatever. Well, okay, that's fine. But, after a while of fucking her, make it clear that you want anal sex for the reasons I outlined in the video that I made. You can find that video in the index. Go to the FAQ. And one of the questions is there an index? And I say yes. And here's the link to the index. And you can go to the index. And it's one of my first videos for Patreon, as a matter of fact. You can do a search and find and, Command F and just put anal and you'll find it right away. Um, Anal sex is very important, it seems to me. Anal sex is something that should be done to a girl sporadically. Okay, I mean, not every time. Uh, Once a month, once every 2 weeks, once every 2 months, depends. Depends on factors, on your personal proclivities. Some girls hate it. Some girls grow to love it. Very few love it from the first go, if any. Okay. Anal sex is very, very important, but you don't want to do it the first time. You want to do it by the times that you have sex, maybe the fourth or fifth time. Okay. But in the first time, you want to signal that you're going that way by fingering her. Definitely. Mhm. You put either one finger or slip two fingers into the condom and see if they slide in with some lubricant and whatnot. And you want to make it clear, just as on the first date, you tried to kiss her. Maybe she accepted, maybe she put her just, slipped and gave you her cheek, but you kissing her, you uh, squeezing her thigh made it clear that you were going physical. Well, when you have sex with her for the first time and you're inside of her, okay, wearing a condom or not, as the case may be. I mean, that depends on factors that you have to figure out on your own. It could be that the first time you have sex with her, you know her enough to know that no, everything's going to be okay, and so you're going to raw dog it, right? But regardless, you're inside her, one way or the other. Mm? And the most convenient way to do this is that when she's on top of you and you're lying on your back and you casually reach over and get another condom and put it on your middle and index fingers. And yeah, it's to start fingering her asshole. hmm And what'll happen is that you'll be very surprised. But what'll happen is that you're inside of her while this is happening. You guys are fucking, right? And what will happen is that she will get used to it and she will understand, if only on a subconscious level or a hindbrain level, whatever you want to call it, she will know that you're going to take the sexual relationship in that direction. And no big discussion, no argument, no talking. I mean, like I said, less talk, the better, especially from you. You want to talk as little as possible except for saying, do this, do that, flip over, open your legs, do this, that kind of direction, that's fine. But like talking and feelings and analyzing shit, fuck off, man. You're fucking, okay? This isn't like some dissertation in college or some shit like that, right? But you do that fingering her asshole, and she's gonna know where the relationship is going. And it is important because frankly, when a woman, especially when she's never had it before, when a woman receives anal sex, okay, and the guy comes in her, it changes the dynamic enormously, okay? Because there is pain to it. It is going to hurt her, okay? But paradoxically, what happens is that she becomes a lot more attached to you, a lot more attached. Psychologically, you become it. Okay. And if you play your cards right and use a combination of vaginal sex, oral sex, and anal sex, and very careful control of her body, making it clear that what you want is this, that, and the other. And, you know, what happens is that her her entire focus starts to fall on you. And it's happened to me, by the way. So I know what I'm talking about. And it can be a very intoxicating power, and you can misuse it very easily. Don't be stupid. Okay. I mean, because when you get a girl that hooked sexually on you, you can get her to pick up like a pretty girl and fuck the both of them at the same time, and have her watch while you're fucking the other girl that she just picked up for you. You know? Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff. You know, it can go really off the deep end. Okay. And, that kind of situation can cause extraordinary psychological damage on a girl. Okay. So you do not want to misuse that. And I know what I'm talking about. Okay. There are lots of things in my past that I'm not particularly proud of. They taught me a lot. Okay. And I'm telling you, the combination of vaginal sex, oral sex, and anal sex can cause all kinds of issues if not handled extraordinarily carefully. Okay. I mean, a girl can really, really, really go off the deep end. And the older you get, the more you know this. Okay. For guys, the older you get, the more experience you have, the more you realize this. Okay. Because because of a factor of experience of miles that you've ridden, right? You start to come across different situations where this is expressed. And it is an intoxicating power, by the way, when a guy, you, are in complete control, sexual control of some girl, you become her drug. You are her heroin. And as everybody knows, a heroin junkie will do anything to get another hit. Okay. So you got to be very careful. Okay. And treat her with the kindness that um, I want to say that she deserves, but nobody deserves kindness. But let me put it this way: see, treat her kindly, because in a weird way, if you don't, you will pay for it. Okay, you'll pay for it with a guilty conscience. You'll pay for it because you really ruined a girl. Mhm. Because a girl who's fucked anally, orally, and vaginally, and just really the guy's done the job on her. Some of these girls never really recover, and they're really ruined forever. And they start like chasing guys to get that high that only you can give. Okay. Only you can give her because you were the first one who really, blew their mind sexually. Mhm. And it's remarkably easy. Okay. What you need is a certain ruthlessness, a certain, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to get what I want out of this sexual relationship. Uh-huh. And that paradoxically is what gets girls just completely off their rocker sexually. And it's a disturbing phenomenon because, well, I don't know, maybe it's I'm very obsessive but not compulsive, which means that basically I obsess about shit and think about it and grind on it and all the rest of it. But then I can turn a page and then just forget about it. That's why I've never been addicted to drugs or alcohol. I just don't care. I mean, it's great to have a joint. It's great to, do whatever drug. I did coke. I've done booze, but like addicted? No. I haven't done coke in decades. I haven't done pot in like 13, 14 years at this point. Uh, you know, booze. I was actually thinking the other day, I haven't had a drink in over a year. And it's not like, oh, I'm like on the wagon, or I don't need it. Okay. But some guys, they do. Some guys are compulsive. And women, I think actually as a product of their compliance, might be exceptionally compulsive. And because of it, You're really fucking them over this way can just flip a switch on them and ruin them. Okay. So be careful, be responsible. Yeah, spank her once in a while penetrating her, and spank her almost, but not quite too hard. Okay. This is a fine line. Okay. That's why I suggest you spank a girl always with your open palm, because the pain that she will feel on her ass is more or less the same pain that you will feel on your palm. Okay. And so that way you can gauge, okay? I mean, firmly so that it stings, but not so firmly that it hurts, is basically the point, okay? Because just adds excitement, okay? Because again, women are visceral creatures. They need excitement, stimuli, powerful emotions, strong, powerful emotions. That's what they need. And make it clear to her that your sexual needs will be satisfied, if not by her, then by somebody else. This is key. This is key in every sexual relationship you have. See? Make it clear. If she's not doing it for you, then you're going to find somebody else. And make it clear. I don't know how, it depends on different people, but make it clear that you do have opportunities. Okay? And what happens too is, again, that sixth sense that women have, that they know when you're seeing other women, they get a sense of it. Yeah. If you're seeing somebody, some other girl, they'll know. If you're seeing no other girl and you say, hey, baby, if you don't do it for me, I'm going to find somebody else, they're going to look at you and they're going to say, no, he's not going to find somebody else. And they'll blow you off. Okay. They won't comply. Okay. But if you actually are seeing some other girl, and no matter how discreet you are and how careful and how you cover all your tracks and never allow her to know, and you say with a straight face, no, I'm not seeing anybody except you, dear. You're the most important person in my life. They're going to know. They always do. They always do. And I'll say something else. Wives always know when the husband is cheating. The husband almost never knows when the wife is cheating and when she's serious about cheating, in the sense that she doesn't want to get caught. Guys never know. Guys will never, ever, ever know. Yeah, because women are better at manipulation and guys are not so perceptive. Simple as that. Women need to be perceptive because their survival depends on their social connections. That's evolution. Men, they survive by looking out into the world, looking at it realistically, and hunting and killing the woolly mammoth. They don't need social dynamics to kill the woolly mammoth. All they need is a fucking spear and a slingshot or something. See what I'm saying? And so men are just simply not so sensitive. Women are incredibly socially sensitive because women need other people to survive. And since whenever your survival depends on something, you're going to be extremely sensitive to that thing. Women depend on their social interactions to survive historically as a species, evolution, right? Not perhaps now, but through all of history, yes. And because of it, they are perceptive. You don't have to, you can lie and hide everything and be as careful as possible, and women will know that you're cheating on them. They'll know it. They'll just, unless she's not paying attention to you, okay? Unless she's just totally like just not paying attention to you, and not necessarily because she doesn't love you, but because she's busy, kids, this, that, the other. It could be. But if she's paying a little bit of attention to you over a prolonged period of time, prolonged be a week or two, she'll catch on right away if you're fucking some other guy. If you're dating somebody, early on the fifth date or whatever, and she's like paying attention to you, she'll know if you're fucking some other girl. And it improves your chances of success with that girl if you are, because women are competitive. Men compete in having the bigger wallet, the bigger salary, the bigger office. Women compete by having the better man. And a man is automatically better if he has other women. Automatically. Because if other women have him, she wants him. It's as simple as that. You could be fucking Quasimodo. You could be Ricky Berwick, right? But if a halfway decent girl is fucking Ricky Berwick, then some other hotter girl will want to fuck Ricky Berwick. And I love Ricky Berwick, but he's Quasimodo, or a modern day version of Quasimodo. He knows it and he's very amusing. But that's the truth. If a halfway decent hot girl is fucking some troll, then the next hot girl that the troll dates will definitely want to fuck him rather. She will definitely know. I have no idea how. It's a remarkable ability that they have, but they have it. Okay, and that's why, like I mentioned earlier, you should be thinking of other girls, even if they're imaginary, when you're comparing her and qualifying her. Okay. So anyway, this is my presentation. I've gone on for 4 fucking hours, or 3 hours and 51 minutes. I can't fucking believe it. Here, let me put there I am. I can't believe it. I mean, it's like this is like the third time I've gone like way overboard. Like last week, I was talking and talking and talking. It was another exceptionally long one, and I have the exact same problem. It's 10 to 10 p.m. and in 10 minutes they lock the doors here at the office, and so I got to split. And so it's like really, I'm so sorry about this, but I hope you got something out of this. Okay, hit me with a +1 if you got something out of it, and hit me with a 0 if you didn't. I'll wait for you guys to catch up. On top of that, I got like messages from people, you know, um, you know, stuff is happening. What the fuck is, let me see this. Oh, wow. This is interesting. Okay. It's something I have to deal with, a personal thing. I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to wait for you for the chat to catch up. +1s, +1s. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Um, there's something you have to understand about the whole man woman thing. There's that saying, all's fair in love and war. It's very true. You have to understand that the man woman dynamic is always ruthless because nature is ruthless. We've built an incredible technological society that is incredibly rich. And because of this wealth, we are able to not only protect the weak and the handicapped and whatnot, we have overprotected people and shielded them from the harsh reality of nature. I am a man. I'm a 53-year-old man. And you who are listening to me are men for the most part, a few women, I suppose, but we are animals. Like it or not. And a lot of us don't like it. And a lot of us want to say, no, we're not animals. Animals are horses and cows. And we're not that. We are beings of light and spirit, made in God's image and all that. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I think that we're just animals that got lucky in terms of evolution and developed these really, really big brains. And remarkably, we were able to survive because topologists do believe that at one point, human beings numbered less than 1,000 individuals. I mean, we're that close to extinction, okay, on more than one occasion. And, the thing is about our existence, it's remarkable. And we've been able to create this civilization that we are, you know, self-destructing in our current political environment, but that's another conversation. The point I want to make: nature is cruel, evolution is cruel. If you want to get a woman in your life, you have to make the effort. And you can't be hampered by scruples. You can't allow any obstacle to get in your way, especially not obstacles made in your own mind. And you cannot, under any set of circumstances, allow yourself to be stopped by propaganda and bullshit about the reality of the situation. The reality is that men and women want one another, they need one another, and women are a certain way and men are a certain way. And to pretend otherwise is foolish. You have to work with what you got and understand that to get the women that you want, you have to be ruthless. You have to be pragmatic. And you have to do things that a lot of times our contemporary society says are bad, evil, blah, blah, blah. But if you fall for that trap, you'll wind up in the basement of your mother's. It's as simple as that. So don't be a fool. Do what has to be done. Be kind to the people that you interact with, but never allow their happiness to lead to your unhappiness, their success to lead to your failure. Do whatever it takes to win. And with that, I'm going to call an end to this broadcast. Thanks very much. And I will catch you next time. And I'm definitely going to be doing some special episode this week that it's just going to be questions, because it's been like the psychedelic webinar, last week's webinar, and of effective dating, and this webinar that I didn't take questions. And I owe questions on those issues, but these webinars just went way over long. I never expected them to go this long, but here we are. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do an episode just for questions over the last 3 ones. I know I promised that last week, but I had a lot of shit this past week. So this week for sure, because this week it's a lot more clear. Okay. Okay. Take it easy, guys. And I hope you're doing well.